You're live, Carmel.
What is up, people? Mancave Classified Episode 15. We're bringing you No Diddy Part 2, Bieber, Usher, and more. We got some great folks coming on the show later on. How you feeling, Kelby? You doing good?
I'm doing good. I mean, I wish I was doing as good as you, strolling down the street in that fine ride of yours. Between meetings, hustling, putting it together.
Always hustling. Well, you just celebrated a birthday, so
I did.
We had quite the shindig. Yeah.
Truly appreciate it.
For sure. But we got a good topic on today. Had some fellas that joined us at that birthday party and had a quite revealing conversation that we thought we should make a show, right?
You know, Carmel, it was one of those things where I looked at you, you looked at me, and we're like, okay. And it's stuff nobody's ever heard of. And don't know if they're going to want to lay it out tonight like they did that night. But we had a lot of fun. We got to the truth of the matter on a lot of different topics. And I think on a coming episode where, we're going to be talking about that black privilege card that you all have. And,
okay.
And how we as a people, we are coming to a whole lot of different knowledges and truths about what's coming up through society. And but Karma, we're friends, and we've been friends for a long time, and that's kind of why we brought this show together, was to show people it's not a black-white issue, and but there are those things that people do want to talk about, like reparations and things like that are identifiers for mostly black folks, some Indians and so forth. So I think in the coming episodes, I'd like to touch on that and see what your thoughts are on that. But tonight, I think with all that is going on, and we're calling this P. Diddy Part 2, all this that's going on in the music industry, all this that's going on with Epstein, who supposedly hung himself in a jail. We've never really seen any body. We've never seen any names or any name list. But they are coming after Trump with 90 indictments. Now, look, I'm not a Trump supporter. I'm not pro-Trump. I'm just pro-ethical campaigning between two parties. And it just seems like we haven't even had a series of debates. This is the first time in the history of the United States we haven't had any debates. I think this whole world is in for a shock this year. But I want to get to the nuts and bolts about the music industry and talk on that and let these guys come with what they have to say, because they were witnesses to a lot of things that I've been saying for years. You've been saying about the corruption in the music industry and kind of just straight up how satanic it is. It's to me, it's a sad thing. And if you were to tell people that on albums and you played them backwards, that they actually have a satanic voice to them, they wouldn't believe you, but they do. I've done it myself. I played the Led Zeppelin album backwards, Stairway to Heaven, and it's pure evil. So we have to take these things into consideration, like the tones, the frequencies, the melodies, the lyrics, what they're putting out. And what is that doing to society, and what is the purpose of that? And albeit there is some predominantly white men judges that have invested heavily into prisons. And I want to get to the bottom of all of that, because once people find out that a judge is on his Form 750 has been investing in private prisons, he should be pushed off the bench in any particular case that he's proceeding over, because he's biased. But anyway, let me know, Carmel, any last thoughts? Let's get these guys on, if you're okay with that.
Yeah, let's jump into it. Let's go.
There we go. Nope, don't like that one. There we go.
Hello.
Welcome, gentlemen. Oh, you sound good.
What's going on? We in the game?
Yeah.
Hold on. Carmel, did you hear his voice drop like 2 octaves right there?
Yeah, he didn't sound nothing like that in the pre-show.
He was like Mighty Mouse a minute ago.
Come on, man. Mighty Mouse.
What's up,
gentlemen? Introduce yourself.
Thank y'all for welcoming us, man, to the show.
It's a pleasure.
Yeah, just do me a favor, speak up, introduce yourself, and let's just talk shop, man. We're just four guys hanging out.
Okay. How you doing, man? I'm Kenny Maryland from Homer, Louisiana.
All right. I'm from Quincy Akins, also from Homer, Louisiana.
Now, you guys related?
Yes.
First cousin.
First cousin. So, wait a minute. So, Micah, all you were first cousins?
Yes.
All of us.
Yes.
Dang.
So my dad, Micah's dad, and his mom are brothers and sisters.
Right.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Did y'all marry any first cousins?
No.
We do have something like that.
Well, you know, you were from Louisiana.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So tell the folks where Homer, Louisiana is.
We're about 47 miles south of New Orleans. And I actually live in a town called Dulac, about 17 miles south of Homer.
Ooh.
Which is about 15 miles north of the Gulf of Mexico.
I was gonna say that's easy. Just you almost in the water then.
We're on the coast.
We're in the
exactly.
water. We are in the water, literally.
Hey, wow.
The town is actually, if you look at it, is an island.
Basically.
Yeah, north,
really?
south, west. You got to cross a bridge to get out.
Yeah.
Wow. So I know when I first met you, gentlemen, one of the things that, before we even get into our topic, that really stood out to me was just how different New Orleans and Louisiana as a whole is ran, like governmentally, the state lines. If you guys have parishes instead of counties,
Yeah.
like I've heard of the parishes before, but didn't realize that was such a thing down there. Like, speak on that a little bit.
Right.
I want to say I think that's due to the fact that we're still under the Napoleonic Code, so we're still under what they call civil law, and I think where everybody else operates under common law. So I think it's a jurisdiction thing as far as
100%, yeah,
under British rule, basically, in certain aspects. Yeah,
right.
So I guess we all do. In a way, you know, and I think Kelby can expand on that more. But as far as Louisiana goes, I know we play by a different playbook, sort of say, you know.
It's broken just like our broken French down there. You know what I'm saying?
That's what's up.
Yeah.
You know,
so, gentlemen, just background. I know that you guys float and you do sales. I don't want to say for who.
Okay.
But you're always together. You're always running around. Let's talk about preferences for a second. I know you're all heterosexual male. Let's not I wasn't implying anything, but do you prefer a white woman or a black woman? Can I ask you that?
I have no preference. You know what I'm saying?
There's really no preference.
You know.
Okay, but what did you do?
Huh? Come again?
Have you married a white woman or a black woman?
I married a mixed. She's mixed, black and white.
White and
black.
Mixed with a little Philippine.
Okay.
That's good quality. That's good.
Yeah.
I just want to throw that out. I mean, it is kind of seemingly obviously a part of the privileges that you guys have. You can choose as you go, and I mean that's.
Hey, I mean, if you really look at it, you know, in a lot of different areas, as far as different races, you know, I grew up a little different. Even though I'm from Homer, Louisiana, my dad was military, you know, we moved around a lot. So in 89, we moved from Louisiana all the way to Washington State, you know. So that was a huge culture change for me because we really only seen black, white, and only like a handful of Chinese, you know what I'm saying? Mostly Indians, you know what I'm saying, in Louisiana. So when I moved to, that's a funny story that you say that. So when I moved to Seattle,
you're like, dang.
Hey, wait a minute,
what is going on?
We'll keep it real. So, you know, if you mess with a white girl back then at home, it was late night. You know what I'm saying? Late night and you out before the sun come up. You feel me?
And nobody ever talked about it.
Kicking it, hit me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Other than that, nah. So when I moved to Seattle, it was weird to see black, white, black, different genres, male, versus female with the different race, and no one was tripping. You know what I'm saying? And I was like, wow, this is crazy. So it was like, why not? But it was more of a melting pot for me when I moved there. So you had lots of Asian descent. You had a lot of African descent. You had even Samoans. I had never met a Samoan before. An islander, let's just say. It was just different people. Canada was right there.
Now, that's a great starting point for maybe another dialogue another day. But do you guys refer to yourself as African American or black?
Coming from my era, I'm 75. And you was taught to put black instead of other. You know what I mean? And then over the course of time, that even changed. It went from black to African American to X, Y, and Z. And that's a strong point because our races is only the race that's ever changed.
Yeah.
In that diagram.
Well, to expand on that, our family dynamic is so diverse. It's kind of hard to kind of put ourselves in a box. So
I remember you got 3 grandpas that are
because
why you guys were calling yourself black?
That's the cold thing. We're not even black. If you want to consider it black, you know what I'm saying.
So, society treats us as black, kind of depending on the situations or certain circumstances that we find ourselves ourselves in, but
like
on the surface,
like when you're in the shower at the gym or something, everybody
what
you're talking about now.
They can kind of see the black in you.
Okay.
But as far as how we go about living our daily lives, I know it's the way I look at things. I treat people on an individual basis. You give me a certain type of energy, I give it back. You know what I'm saying? And that's kind of how I go through life.
Yeah, I've been giving Raz and Carmel for years after I found out he was white, and
I see it.
It's one of those things, we all have to start recognizing that blood matters, and that he's got a lot of blood in him that's white and Indian, and I don't care what color you are. It's what does your blood say, and.
Hey, like I say, man, when it comes to race, we part of the human race.
Yeah,
that's what it is.
If you saw a picture of my dad, you would think he was part black.
Yeah, I can believe it.
Saw a picture of my grandpa, you would think he was part black.
I can believe it.
Yeah. They got facial structure and features.
Mm-hmm.
I hear your swag. So you didn't get that from your white side. I hear that.
Exactly.
Yeah, I didn't hear, exactly. So we all got a little color.
I saw a little bit of them at the party the other night too.
Hey.
You saw it, Kenny?
I saw a little bit of that.
But see, that's the thing. That's the thing I think is really funny is like I'll be in a group of people and they could be as mixed as whatever, thousands of different ethnicities. If somebody in there is black,
you're gonna know.
We know it. I'm telling you, I was at a party. It was all Arabs.
Yeah.
And a lady walked in, and I'm like, she feels black to me. And a buddy was like, nah, man, she's Arab. I said, well, that could still be black. She said, nah, she's Arab. Later on in the night, we're talking, and come to find out, she's from Tunisia.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm. I'm like, I knew it. She's African.
Yeah.
Well, how'd you know? I said, bro, you could be as white as all get out. If there's something in you that's black, for some reason, our radar, we feel that.
It's going to come out, right?
The vibration.
Come out. The vibration, for sure.
Yeah, you're going to feel that frequency.
Right.
Well, I call it a little something different, but that's all right.
Okay. For real.
So, we've been talking 15 minutes and it's just, frankly, four guys, and I don't look at race like a lot of other people out there do. And I think I do want to ask you, because it's not a part of the conversation we're supposed to be talking about, but do you think talking about race is helping the race issue, or do you think
I really
Morgan
do.
Freeman,
Yeah,
like Morgan Freeman came out and said ignoring the race agenda, the race conversation would be more helpful than actually addressing race conversation? Because it seems like, and I almost agree with it, not saying you guys are wrong at all, but it just seems like we're constantly talking about it and trying to find things to divide ourselves versus trying to find things to come together on. You know what I mean?
Well, you know what? I'm going to say this here. Nothing against the voice of God, as far as Morgan Freeman. All I'm going to say is this here, is that what we see on TV is not actually what we see outside our door. You feel me?
I'm 100%. I've done a lot of the statistical analysis of what's happening in prisons, what's happening with law enforcement towards communities, and the unfairness there. I'm 100% in agreement that there's a systemic issue. I think that that issue is something that is also an issue towards white people, not as much. And I think the fact is that we're the only country in this nation. And if you look at the law and you look at the core of why things are happening, and slavery and reparations, and people don't know that the 14th Amendment second part is basically enslaving all of America and all colors of people, and that they're all chattel and collateral for these corporations. And the second that we can identify that, and so for even a Christian community or God-fearing community, that they should be number one trying to get out from under that, because we're not to be the surety or the collateral for anything. But I'm only saying that because I'm not. I was at one point, but most of Americans, U.S. citizens, are slaves to corporations. Now it's getting to a point where it's even worse. Like, and I can't really say it, but if they do the arm thing, there's a 2016 ruling that says if your DNA is changed, it's now called cDNA, and it's patentable. And so that's a whole next level of property ownership of quote unquote human beings, which the definition of human being is monster. And people don't realize that as a U.S. citizen, you're under the Department of Agriculture, you're an animal. And those are all legal and lawful terms, whether you're white, black, red, brown, whatever, from a corporation masquerading itself as a country, getting more assets to cover the bankruptcy of 1932. Now, going back to what the question was, it's like, how do you deal with, the only way to deal with what's going on is come back hardcore down on corruption. There's still a law in place, and I don't say this because I recommend this, but if a judge is corrupt on the federal level, there's a law in place that if the corruption is element, you can bring him down to the local light pole and hang him. And there's an old story, and that's an active law, by the way. There's an old story. I don't recommend that for anybody. But there's an old story of a king who had a judge, and the judge was corrupt. And the king was so upset after finding out that his judge was on the sly taking bribes, that he said, "You're going to die." And he said, "And I will give you one request." He said, "Please let my son replace me." And this is what the king did. It's a true story. The king killed his father, the judge, skinned him, made a chair out of his father's skin, and that was the chair to which he judged from. His son judged from.
Wow.
I think once we understand the importance of honoring home life, honoring the law as it pertains to us being self-governed and them holding up our God-given unalienable rights and doing nothing else. But then there's these fine mixes in there, and it's like, I feel like the more we talk about race, the more we're dividing us. The more we talk about issues with law enforcement, the more they're showing their force. You know, they keep showing their force against American people. It's like, what are you arresting me for? Because you're resisting arrest. Well, you got to have a dang charge to arrest somebody before they can
before the resisting occurred.
Right. And so, how do we deal with, you know, these issues? And this maybe is a whole nother show. I'd love to have you guys back.
It probably is, because you figure like this, you know, it's already tyranny.
There is no doubt that word has been reached.
How do you fight that without putting something in your hands, and you know what I mean, or whatever, and to the man, if that's what they want to call it, the man.
Yeah,
you know. I mean, but in a small sense, you hate to say it, but literally, that's almost what has to be done. Everybody got to, you know. I can't really say this, but I could say it. You know, we can go back to as far as like Louisiana. A lot of that right there is corrupt. You know, been for years and still going on.
Cops in Louisiana are corrupt.
Any other states that's at that raw point like that, you feel me? So, and if that's the case, go ahead and throw who runs the country. You feel me?
To interject, not to cut you off, but socially, I think how you say ignore it, the racism part of it, as far as the day-to-day interactions with each other, just pretty much, I think it's coming to a head to the point to where, like you say, we in the setting, we getting along, you're not really looking at race, but systematically, I think is where it needs to be really uprooted. You understand? Like, yes, as far as
100%.
So, like people say, you go to a bank to go apply for a loan, and race is not an issue. Well, why do we have to put race on the application?
But you got a better chance of qualifying for a loan these days than I do.
Well, what I'm saying is, I mean, I would believe that if I don't have to put it on my application.
I don't think race should be on an application.
It's just part of the process.
I'm just going to say this. When it comes to, and Carmel and I both agree, college is not the place for my children or your children or whatever. It's a program.
Not these days.
It's a program, not these days.
Yeah.
But to get into college, you are better off if you're Hispanic or Black.
Correct.
Or Chinese. And if you're white, forget it. If you're a Jew, forget it.
Well.
Which, by the way,
talking about as far as financial aid?
Oh, no. Yeah, tuition, getting in, all of it.
Well, 9 times out of 10, that family is probably more affluent anyway and can afford to send their kid to school. Without having
that we agree. But a white kid that needs it's going to have a problem getting it compared to the Black kid.
As far as just admissions,
just admissions, support, help, tuition, whatever.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I personally experienced it when I was a kid, but that's a long time ago.
Yeah.
Now I hear,
like we said, these days, I mean, it's so many different other avenues to go to get into the professional world, and the technology is.
I don't believe in college. I don't think college helps kids. I think it's programming at its best. I think it's a way worse thing than we've ever even thought of. To bring kids to a different level of what they don't need to be. You know, I told my daughter
it's part of that industrialization structure.
You know what, guys? Look, in high school, in elementary school, we should be learning entrepreneurship. We should be learning. How to form a private entity, how to form a corporation, whatever it is, how to shelter your assets, how to build income, how to build reoccurring income, what those things look like. That's the problem with this nation is they want this nation to fail. They want you to fail. They want me to fail. They don't want us to succeed at all. And we're in the worst takeover of a nation that we've ever had. But on that note, just to get it back to our title, Music industry wise, and I'm sorry, we'll deal with whatever y'all want to. Micah, look at me.
I think we have a special guest trying to come in.
We do. One of you guys are going to have to sit next to the other guy and use his mic, because if you're all in the same room, then the mic are going to refurb
back to each other. Yeah,
Well, just come
now.
Well, come on.
I'll go to a different room. Let me hang up.
All right. So, should we wait for Micah on this, or do you want to start?
I think we need to wait, and then we'll interject because. Yep.
10 seconds.
About 10 seconds. Give it 10 seconds.
10 seconds. All right. So, my last time I was in Louisiana, I went into Bay St. Louis. And I was one of the first responders with Calvary Church. And I spent 2 weeks there.
For Katrina.
And it was one of the most touching things I'd ever experienced, because I was on a ministry thing and we were feeding people to the tune of a few thousand a day. And I remember the prison camps would come through so that the prisoners who were on cleanup crew would get a chance to eat. And the stories I have there are just amazing. But when I was in downtown, what was it, St. Louis?
Bourbon St. Louis?
No, Bourbon Street.
Oh, Bourbon Street. Okay.
Not
St. Louis Cathedral?
What's that?
The St. Louis Cathedral?
No. I'm talking about before that, as a kid, when I went down to Bourbon Street to go and party and hang out. The cops there, dude, it looked like they were on cocaine. Or
Probably were. They probably were.
Spun out. The cops looked worse than the street people.
Right.
Yes.
Probably the horse too. When he was on.
Yeah.
I'm playing.
Yeah,
I'm not playing.
Well, it's funny you mentioned that, but the horse had a heyday, because I'm a horse whisperer, I think, in my own head. But I love animals. But the horse sat with his shoulder, came up to me on the streets and put his mouth over my shoulder, and I'm like, oh hey, what's going on? And I instantly friended this cop's horse. The cop said, I've never seen my horse do that with anybody before. Wow. And I looked up at the cop, and he looked like he was hung over and spun out on every kind of drug there was. It kind of saddened me, to be honest with you, but the horse and I hung out for 15 minutes while the cop sat there. It was hilarious.
That's wild. That's crazy.
But with all due respect, Louisiana, isn't it built on the ocean? Like, it's literally a swamp.
It's under sea level. So there's marshland. Like a good example is the Superdome. Mm-hmm. I think there's old footage of the construction of the foundation that the Superdome sits on. And what they did, they took about 20 or 30 foot pylons and they just drove them into the ground and to create the foundation. And then they came over it with dirt, sand, rock, and then they built the foundation. So they had to build the land up in order to created land to create a foundation to build the structure.
Wow.
So it was a tedious process of having that done because everything is so far under sea level.
Yeah, sounds like Lido Island in California.
That at home, as well, because that's why all of our houses now are elevated 10 to 14 feet above sea level.
Right.
Yeah.
So when they build a house now, they're like raising them all. Hey, do you remember that one guy that had that big bubble full of water around his house? Like he purchased for $10,000 this inner tube.
Oh yeah. I've seen that.
Yeah.
Blood was all the way around it. Yeah,
all of his friends laughed at him.
Yeah, they did. I remember that.
All of them, and he filled it with water, and they sealed it. And his house is inside there
Yeah, it was completely surrounded with water.
Completely dry and surrounded by a lake or surrounded by the ocean.
It was actually a levee he built.
Right.
Yeah. He built a levee around his home.
Yeah. There was I know this has nothing to do with what we're saying, but there was a kid that came in. He was asking in the line at that place where we were feeding people. He was asking if we had any place where they could pitch a tent, and I said, "What do you mean?" Like, and he said, "Well, my family and I don't have any place to live." And he said they're holding a 6-month-old little girl, and he was asking for a place to pitch his tent in the place behind where we do the ministry. And I'm like, I was kind of blown away, and it hit me hard because I've been feeding this guy for a week, and every day he would come at the same time, morning, lunch, dinner, holding a 6-month-old little girl. And his wife works during the day and he works at night, and they live in a tent. They're trying to survive with a 6-month-old little girl. Their apartment got wiped out or whatever, but that absolutely devastated the entire region. And I remember flying in, and the amount of blue tarps blew me away.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
You know, how many people were suffering and underwater. But one more quick story on that whole event. I'm sitting with my best friend in Arizona, and we started talking about it all. And I told him I went there and I did a ministry trip and all that. And he said, "You were in Bay St. Louis?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, that's where my mom lived. And she went to a place that fed her every day." And so I pulled out my laptop and I started going through hundreds of pictures, and I found a picture of me and his mom sitting at a table.
Wow.
Like 9 years later. Isn't that a trip?
Wow. That's awesome.
That's what's up.
And his mom actually remembered me.
Yeah.
And,
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Micah, there he is. You ready to go?
I am ready to go. Can y'all see me okay?
Yeah, we can.
Sure.
How you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you? What's up,
Good,
Kelby?
good. I'm doing well. Good to see you, man. We have an agreement that we're not discussing anything that happened a few days ago.
No. What happened? I don't even know what you're talking about.
But I don't either, man. But we had a great conversation, and that conversation kind of led to why we're talking today. So, Micah, one of the things that we were saying is, and you can just expound on this as much as you can, and I've been talking about this for years, is like what these music industry professionals have to go through to get to the point where they are able to even be a star. And one of the things I was saying is, and I've seen it with a couple of groups here on the West Coast, is they get invited to a signing party and they get told, "Here's the contract over on that table right there, but before you get to sign, you got to go in this room right here." And they walk in, open up that door, and it's a room of 20 men having sex. And 3 out of 4 of the band members walked into that room, and the fourth, a friend of my friends turned around and walked away out of the band, no contract and no controls over his life. But the rest of the band from that day forward had controls over their life, their music, their inspiration, what they were able to, sing about and so forth. So give us a quick background about you and let's start discussing kind of along the lines of what we talked about the other night.
It's you got a few minutes. It's crazy. I should have took a shot before I started talking. You probably get it all from me. So I can't confirm or deny that story, but I do know some people that have signed some contracts before. I don't want to release their names right now, not at this second, but I can say this. To kick this conversation off, I was really close to signing one of those contracts. Let me just say it like that. Very close. And I don't know if you believe in divine intervention, but it's real. And that's a story too. I haven't told anyone this story at all. I think maybe one person maybe knows this story, but I did get close to signing a contract.
When you say the one person, do you mean one of your white cousins sitting here?
No, they have no clue.
No.
This story.
Totally exclusive.
Knowledge of this at all, but yeah.
You get me, Kelvin.
the industry is real. And like I said, for me, I can consider myself as a professional at this point. I'm not a professional musician at all, but I have been in the entertainment industry since 2007. I went to Morehouse College in Atlanta, graduated there, had a buddy that worked at Tyler Perry Studios. And at the time, and then what he did, I'm trying to see how I can, how's my camera doing? Okay, can y'all see?
Yeah, perfect. Right there.
Where I'm looking. Okay. But yeah, I had a buddy that went to Morehouse with me, and he worked for Tyler Perry at the time. And then he told me one day, we were in class, and he was like, oh, bro, you should go try out and see, BET is in town. You should go talk to them and see if you could get on. And I'm like, okay. And so this is when we graduated. He gave me the information, and then I went down to the office and I met a couple of folks at BET. And then from there, they really kind of gave me a trial run for like a week. I was like a PA. Everyone starts out at the bottom. It was for one production that was there for College Hill. This is back in 2007. But I ended up getting on with them, and then the rest is history for BET, meaning that turned into more and more positions and things. And then I ended up in the studio. Then the Atlanta office opened up, and then I ended up working there for a number of years. And not to fast forward, because everything's related, but to fast forward from there, you start to see more label reps come into the studios and things. And these are big artists and stuff. You got the Diddys, you got the Biebers, you got all these people, Scooter Braun's and all these people. These people are very well known in LA, but they have a lot of ties in Atlanta, business-wise and things like that. So they would come into the studios, and next thing you know, I'm getting offers to go to dinners, and then next thing you know, you're at these parties, and next thing you know, hey, we need a tour manager, or we need you to come over here, and next thing you know, you're meeting and shaking hands with the artist, and then you get offers extended. And so that's really been my experience. I've had a really, really good experience so far in the industry. Like I said, most of my things I started off television and film, and then the music thing kind of came later. And I walked away from the music thing for a long time. Well, not even for a long time, but I had some stuff that really kind of scared me. I wasn't ready for my life to change so quickly. I was comfortable in my job, had a girlfriend at the time, and then I felt like things were going well, and then I walked away from a really big opportunity, and I shouldn't have. And like I said, I don't know how spiritual or how deep we're going. I'm very spiritual. I prayed about it. And then
whatever's on your heart, brother.
Yeah, my phone started ringing again, and then I actually went back into the music stuff. So it kind of approached me. I'm trying to loosen this up. I'm kind of warm. It approached me, and I walked away from it.
Just pretend like you're in the office with Diddy right now. Take it off. That's all right.
I got a lot of titties out there too, man. I need to do some push-ups, but yeah. So a lot of this stuff came to me, and I will say this, and I can segue into the Diddy stuff. I have had an opportunity to work for Diddy, and it was actually twice. A lot of people only know about once, but twice. I had to go to New York. Diddy had a show called I Want to Work for Diddy. All right. And so from BET, we had the production for that. Well, really, it was Viacom. We had the production for I Want to Work for Diddy. And they flew me out to work there for I think I had to move to New York for 3 months, maybe, to film that. And there was I knew a lot of the people that were there. I knew the label reps. I knew his assistants and things like that. I knew some of the cast members, the crew and stuff. And so there was a big we had to sign non-disclosures, and then there was also what did I have to sign too? It was another document I had to sign because it was almost a conflict of interest because I knew some people that were there already. And so that was my first run-in with him. He was really nice. I actually got a chance to really see him in his prime, but no parties and stuff, but more so business. The second run-in I got in with Diddy was my resume actually went across his executive assistant desk and his chief of staff. And I can say names. My boy Tommy Pops, he can verify the story. I don't know if he'll ever see this. I know he's a conscious brother, very intelligent. He was an exec at BET for a little bit in Atlanta. Well, I know he's kind of back and forth on the producing side. And so he called me one day. Me and Tommy were real close. Called me one day, and he was like, Micah. He's like, is this the same Micah, that I know? I'm like, yeah, bro, what's up? His name popped up in my phone. And I'm like, what's going on, bro? He was like, man, you wouldn't believe your resume is on my desk. And I'm like, what? And I'm driving into the office at BET in Atlanta. I'm in the car. And he was like, yeah, I'm trying to figure out why your stuff is on my desk. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't submit it over there. Obviously someone did. I still don't know who gave my information to Tommy again, because I already knew him. And he was like, matter of fact, dude, you'd be perfect for this. That's all he kept saying. And he never told me what the opportunity was, but he was like, you'd be perfect for this. So we hang up, he calls me back. And he's like, bro, he said, I have an opportunity. He said, Diddy needs an assistant. Are you available to do it? I'm like, what? Like, I don't know how to do that, but whatever. He was like, no, you'll be perfect. He said, let's try it out. And so what he did, he signed up a series of meetings for me to meet with his chief of staff, executive assistant, which he was, and then he had a new assistant at the time. But they were all in Atlanta. I think they were shooting videos and stuff like that. So what I ended up having to do, meet with his team. I had 3 meetings, meet with his team. And then once I kind of passed the test, I guess, and it wasn't anything like crazy. We did meet at some hotels, had dinner, but it wasn't anything crazy like that. And then I got the offer to go interview with Diddy in Miami. And so what happened? And these things move so fast. Like, I know I'm speaking.
Go ahead.
It's a lot of process. And so me going to we met at the Intercontinental downtown. So once I passed that interview, they flew me out like within a day. I had to go to Miami. It was like a Thursday or Friday. I think it was a Thursday or something. And I had to fly to Miami to meet with Diddy out there. And I show up in a suit, and I met with his executive assistant. Her name is Carlene Roy. She can verify this too, if she ever sees this. She's really smart, very kind. She was really nice. I liked her a lot. And I don't know what's wrong with my phone. But I went out there, and as soon as I showed up, he was like, dude, he said, you showed up in a suit, you're hired. He's in his trailer. He's like, no shirt on. He's like running outside. He had like nothing. Like, I mean, just a t-shirt. You know how you put your t-shirt on and you're like running off? That's what he's doing. And I'm like, oh. And she's like, well, he likes you already. And I'm like, wow, that was crazy, And so he just runs away. We're at a video shoot. I have no clue where we are. I know we're in Miami, some kind of back lot, but I couldn't tell you the address. And so I kind of sit and wait around. Carlene takes me into his trailer. There's like Ciroc bottles and stuff everywhere. The cologne, the best of the best, suits and everything. His team is there. It's real chill. And so he's just running back and forth. Then he runs in while I'm in there, sits down, like ties his shoes or whatever, and then runs back out of the trailer. He speaks and leaves back out. And I'm like, wow, this is, a pretty good introduction. So she was like, hey, he may like you already. I'm like, okay, cool. And so from there, I was supposed to interview with him that day and then just fly back to Atlanta like that night or in the morning. But what ended up happening was the day ended up being crazy. So we at this video shoot with these new artists and stuff he had signed. It was like a big warehouse. It almost looked like an airplane hangar. It was like jets and stuff in there. It was nuts. And we ended up, he gets in these moods where he's like, you know what? I'm ready to end this. Let's go party and stuff. So he grabs a few girls and stuff out of there. We leave and we pack everything up, and the next thing you know, celebrities are showing up. Ray J and all these people are showing up. Random people like Gucci, Jeezy, all the people are showing up. And we pack everything up, and then he gives me some car keys. Like, I met his security. He gives me some car keys to these to an Escalade or something. And then he's like, drive, you just got to keep up. And so we left this place. There was this random girl, gorgeous girl that was there. I had to take her car to Star Island, where she has a house out there, and we're like 95 on 95 just running. I mean, I was like, there's something protecting us. Like, we are against all kind of laws right now, like against it, like seriously. So we rushed up to Star Island, dropped the car off. He hands me some more keys to an Escalade. We smash out and run to, where did we go? We went to King of Diamonds, and we got there, and it looks like a freaking stadium. So we all walk in. We get frisked at the door. The guy thought I had a gun on me. Like, I almost had to strip down. Went in there, and that's where the night started. Now, mind you, it's 3 a.m. Our night started right then. And so we sat in there, dude. It was nuts. And I'm like, this is absolutely insane. I was trying to buy a vehicle at the time. He was handing me money to hold so he can throw it. You can literally hear the money just throwing it. He was throwing my truck payment, car payment, whatever, house payment. And that's exactly what it was. And I was literally in tears. I'm like, where? all this money I pray for, and it's just like he's just throwing it away. And so he kept me the whole time. He kept me next to me. It was crazy. And so he was like, stand here, don't move. I was like, okay. And I was hushed. I was in my suit still. I was the only one in the suit. And I was standing next to him. And the next thing you know, he just hands me this big stack. It's huge of money. Like, I mean, straight. You know how you go to the bank and get money out, and it's in the plastic. You have to open the plastic like that. He just hands that to me, and I had to hold it. And so we were running around. Next thing you know, there was a dispute in the strip club. I don't know who it was, but someone came up to us and it was a problem. It was like security. I don't know what was going on. Next thing you know, we had to barrel out of there. And so what I did, I wrapped the money up. I don't know how much it was. I don't know if it was 20 grand. I don't know if it was 100 grand. I don't know if it was 5. I just know it was a bunch of new money in the package still. So we hightailed it out of there. When we left, we had to throw the money in the trucks and just leave out. And we ended up going to another party and then another. Then we went back to the house to Star Island or whatever. Then he kicks everyone out the house. Okay, cool. So we wait in the parking lot. When we pull up, he's like, "Where's my?" He said, "Where's my money at? Where's my money?" And everyone's like, "I don't know what kind of money you're talking about. Where's my money?" And I was like, "Oh, I got it." And, I went to the car, went to the Escalade. I opened the console, and it's just stuffed full of money. They was like, "He gave you all this stuff?" I'm like, "Yeah, he told me to hold it." Like, dude, he was testing you. I'm like, obviously he was. Like, and I passed the test. So that was my first interaction, real interaction with Diddy. And it was a wild one. And like I said, the story starts there. A couple of more days pass by. I'm still in Miami. And what he's doing, he's testing me the whole time. He's giving me more stuff to do. I went in his house the next day. We had to send a barber and stuff in to do all this stuff. And there's a point to the story. I'm getting to it. So in the next day,
does the point have Diddy juice on it?
I can say this. It's crazy. It was a lot in the house. It was a lot in there. The house was it was probably one of the most beautiful houses I think I've seen in a long time. And I was looking up. We were on Star Island. Sylvester Stallone was like next door. He still has that house out there, by the way. And so I was there, and I remember the next day we were loading up to go back to the video shoot. And so right now I'm technically working for this man. I hadn't even interviewed for him. He knows my name, and we had a whole night that we spent, together, like partying and stuff like that. And the next day, what happened? This was crazy, and this will let me know that he had a kind of a heightened sense. So he's not dumb. A lot of people that are in these positions that are stars, they do sign contracts and things like that. I can't say it because I was about to sign one. I know they exist. And so I'm speaking for myself, and I'm not proud to say that. I had some divine intervention with that, but I'll continue. But these guys actually have very heightened sense. They are very spiritual. They do have, that your eye is open. Your first eye or your third eye, whatever you believe, is open, and he has a heightened sense for sure. Like he can close his eyes and probably can see everything around him. I don't know if that's something that's been prayed over him. I don't know if that's a spirit attached. But let me tell you what happened. I was by myself in a room. I was packing his bags. He had like this Louis backpack. And what he had like a medicine bag inside. Of course, you got vitamins and things like that. But what happened, the backpack fell, like it fell down off of me, right? And what it did, when it opened up, everything fell out of the bag. And so what I did, I opened the bag up, and I was like, oh no, I'm packing it back up. And then one of his bags was kind of slightly open, like the zipper. I had to zip it back. And so when I did that, I saw inside, I just kind of unzipped it a little bit. And I'm like, what's that? And all I saw was a bunch of pill bottles in there, but a ton of stuff. And I looked, I'm like, oh, and I don't know what I thought. I didn't know. It didn't look like anything crazy. It didn't look like any kind of drug, but it was just a lot of pills that were in there. And I'm like, oh snap! And I just zipped it back up and I tucked it in his bag. I'm the only one in the room. This is like his computer room or like some kind of office or something. And I picked the bag up and I just left out. And I went out to the car. We packed everything and we left. By the time we got to the video, this man got next to me, Diddy himself, not his assistant. He walks up to me and says, "Hey man," he's like, "I really appreciate you if you don't go through my things." And I look, I'm like, I didn't go through anything. The only thing I did was zip up a bag at the house. So I'm like, how in the world did he see me? Like, there's no way he could have saw me. I have no clue. Even if there was cameras in the house, like there's no way he'd be looking at the camera at me that time. He had just walked out of the room. So I don't know how he saw that, who saw it. I was by myself. And he approached me himself and said, I don't ever want you to go through my bags. I said, sure enough, I won't. And he said that to my face, and he just walks off. And so that whole day, he's like making eye contact and making sure I'm there. I had to stay next to him for like 3 days straight by his side. It was crazy. And after a while, before I had to go back to Atlanta, we had our interview then. So like I said, we video shoots. It's a lot of alcohol. I can't really confirm the drugs right now. I saw the pills, but it's a lot of alcohol on set. All he drinks is Ciroc. That's it. That's it. Like I never saw water, no juice, no coffee, Ciroc. That was it. And we had to put it on, and Hennessy, Ciroc and Hennessy on ice. That was it. So that's my first Diddy story. He interviewed me right before I went back to Atlanta. I mean, minutes before my flight. He called the driver over to come to drive me back to Miami airport or whatever. He sat me down in front of him at this video shoot. He was like, yeah, so what do you think about this experience? I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, I mean, it's like, I'm not, it's a lot, I said, but I know I can handle the journey, all this stuff. So he's like, man, I really like you. And mind you, he was really nice to me outside of him threatening me not to go through his bags. He was really nice to me the whole time. And so he was like, man, he's like, I hope you really enjoy this. He said, I've had a lot of people from Morehouse come and try to work for me or apply for me. He said, but you get the same thing kind of over and over. You guys think you know everything and blah, blah, blah. It's kind of insulting a little bit. But after that, I'm like, okay, I get it, And then he just goes on. We interview for 30 minutes. Next thing you know, he daps me up. He sends me on my way. And then I left. And that was it. I get back to Atlanta. I get the calls. Hey, so what do you think about the opportunity? I was like, it's cool. I said, I don't think I'm just ready for my life to change this much. I said, this is a lot. I said, I probably slept 3 hours in 3 days, literally. Like we were up the whole time. And I'm happy how he has so much energy. And that's the one thing I kept saying, like, how does this man have so much energy? I've never seen him do any drugs, but I don't know. But so it was a back and forth that entire week about me joining the team. And I kept saying, no. Eventually, he called my phone. So Carlene Roy calls me. It was late. It's like 11 o'clock. I'm in bed. She called me. She said, hey, are you awake? I'm like, yeah, what's going on? She's like, hold on for a second. When she said, hold on, he grabs the phone. Yo, Micah, what's up, bro? I'm like, oh, hey, what's going on? Mr. Combs, how are you doing? Hey, man. He said, I think there's big stuff going on. He said, it's been a lot of back and forth. He said, I really want you to join my team, man. Like, well, I would love to do it. Let me give you the reasons why. He said, I already fired 2 people behind all this stuff. He said, because they weren't getting my messages over properly. He said, mix-ups in my team, blah, blah, blah. And then I was like, understood. And so what he did, he goes on to explain to me what he said, I have a network that's coming out about to drop. I got an artist I'm about to sign. We got all these deals on the table. And that's a lot. He has a lot. And a lot of them I have actually seen them unfold. Like he wasn't lying. They were like on the dotted line signing contract stuff, new liquor deals, Revolt, all these things that are happening. I got buddies that work for Revolt right now, and he was like in the beginning stages and stuff, a lot of that stuff at the time. And so what I did, we talked on the phone for about an hour, and I took notes the whole time we were talking. And once he finished up, we hung up. I put everything in an email, all my notes, and I sent it on. And I sent it to my boy Tommy Pops. He said, he said, put Carlene and me on this email. We're gonna send it to Diddy. So I did that. And once that was over, it was a 3-day kind of silence or whatever. And then my boy Tommy called me. He was like, dude, he said, I was so upset with you, bro. I was like, what happened? He's like, man, he said, I've sent this man emails. He said, 4 years. He said, I've worked for this man. He said, I've sent him hundreds of emails, hundreds. He said, he has never responded one time to one email from me. I was like, okay. He said, I don't know what you went to Miami and did. He said, but you must have impressed him enough because he responded to you. I'm like, well, what did he say? He said, bro, not only did he respond to you, guess what he said? I was like, what did he say? He said, I'll wait. I was like, wait on who? He said, he'll wait on you so you can work for him. He liked you that much. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. He liked you that much. He said, he said he'll wait. He said, bro, I don't know what you went out there and did. He said, but whatever you did, it impressed him. All I did was stay up and just follow his orders. That was it. Right. That was it. And to go beyond that, there's another story that's added to this where it really kind of gets crazy. I did well with him. I turned down the job, and Tommy was mad. Diddy said he would wait. Boom. Closed that door. Well, 2 weeks later, I get a call to go with Lil Wayne. No one knows the story. Lil Wayne was in trouble at the time, doing a lot of stuff, but I still met some of his team. Me and his team really are still friends to this day. I don't tell anybody this stuff, but we've actually partied and hung out. Not me and Wayne, but me and his team. They're pretty high up. But I got assigned to them to go work for them. But it was a bunch of lawsuits and stuff going on. And they pulled me from there, and I got assigned to Justin Bieber. So that's where this story comes into. So with the Bieber stuff, that was interesting. I actually had to move to LA, to Calabasas. They gave me a black card, a Mercedes, a place to stay, the whole nine, the royal treatment. I got it. But the Diddy and the Bieber stuff is related because it's the same kind of team back and forth. When I went to Calabasas to work, like I said, it got interesting. First day, Ferraris racing up the street. I did see a lot of marijuana, a lot of alcohol. I can say this because I still know the Bieber team. They know me. We know each other very well. I just probably talked to a couple of my buddies from there probably 2 weeks ago. All right. What I can say, there are a lot of things that are covering that team. Again, we were doing things, I don't want to say against the law, but we were kind of pushing the envelope a little bit. I remember racing up the 101.
How old was Bieber?
Going. I remember racing up the 101, going 160 miles an hour in a Mercedes. I'm not kidding. And not a cop in sight. And I was doing it for 20 minutes. I'm not kidding. And I was like, there's something protecting us here. Stuff that we were doing that shouldn't happen. And I was involved because I was working for him. You know what I mean? So I had to kind of get involved. You do meet a lot of celebrities. You do see the alcohol. You do parties. You see it all. I do have stories about Bieber. I did sign a non-disclosure with him, but there are some things I can't tell. Those contracts are real. Remember who I want to say. I'll say it. I remember Scooter Braun coming over to the house and giving some threats to JB. I remember that. And like I said, I don't know where that's going to go, me saying that, but I remember that happening. And I remember Selena Gomez coming over there and hanging out and things like that. These things did happen. Those contracts are real. I was about to sign one for my own benefit. Like I said, I can speak for myself. But with the Bieber stuff, that also there are things that do go on there, spiritual. There are things that go on in these now that are coming out today. You know about.
Right, so let's talk about Bieber just for a sec. Okay. I saw a video a couple weeks ago about Bieber and Diddy.
Okay.
And remember we were talking about it the other night, and Bieber had to spend 48 hours with Diddy, and Diddy was like 15 years old, and Diddy was like really talking about like that time that they were going to have together and really talking it up, and Bieber was like just young and impressionable. Mm-hmm. And as we know, Usher moved in with Diddy at whether it was 13 or whatever, and Usher went to the hospital because of something Diddy did to his backside. That's the alleged. And then something happened between Bieber and Diddy, and there's other. I mean, people can go search this out. There's other videos of those two meeting, and it was an uncomfortable thing because Bieber called him out on something on one of the videos about his experience with Diddy during that 48-hour period. And obviously if he's with Selena Gomez, it was after that. So, and he was much, much bigger at that time. But, this has got to be tough because you really didn't talk a whole lot of juice on anything, but you laid the foundation of the what is really going on, and I don't need necessarily juice, or I don't need necessarily for you to go against any non-competes, but these kids are cultured. You're not cultured. They're groomed.
I have more. I can give you more. I just have a foundation out there. That you said who I am. That's who I am. I have to give you my background to validate what I'm saying, basically. Because there was guy. He's just talking. No, I have a resume that's there, and I've been in some rooms where a lot of people hadn't gone. They hadn't been privy to those rooms, and so that was me laying the foundation out there too. So it is a conversation. I haven't been in the same room with Diddy and Bieber at the same time, but I can say I have worked for both of them at some point, and the topics are related. I got a buddy that has worked for Usher, and I have heard the horror stories and stuff with that. With Bieber and Selena Gomez, whenever she came over, they weren't together, so it was around the same time that you're speaking of. Like I said, it was. Let me say this, and I'm trying to say this kind of tough, but I have also been approached similar, not by Diddy, but someone similar in the industry like that. So that's me confirming that those things are real. So you saying alleged and these things, 9 times out of 10, it probably happened. You know what I mean? Because I know it happened to me, and I'm trying to pull from my perspective, and not to be relatable. I'm just trying to have an open book about, or have an open discussion with you for this purpose about what goes on in the industry. You will get approached. I've been to some of the best parties, best hotels, and I've seen used condoms and things. I'm saying just to give you an image, in strip clubs with these big artists and stuff like that. Obviously, something's going on, and I see it. And I'm not here to deny the Diddy Usher thing. I heard that years ago. Like I said, I got buddies that can confirm it, which I'm trying to tell you without telling you. My whole thing with the Bieber thing and Diddy, there is something there. And I remember Will Smith's name coming up. I do. And I don't know how dangerous that territory is right now, but I remember his name coming up a couple of times at the house. You see what I mean? I'm not pulling this out of my ass, too. I got some juice for you, but I don't know where that's going to go. You heard it here.
Juice, where'd you pull that from?
If I still have my phone records, you'll see it. I may have a backup conversation somewhere on my WhatsApp. I remember we had this whole. I may have it. You may. I don't know. I may. It depends
regarding Will Smith.
I may sell my conversations to you. I still got them backed up somewhere. It's written. So, like I said, and the reason why I'm saying that, because we have to, working with Bieber, like you have to see everything, the ins and the outs. I did every receipt, everything that he has, so you see where the money's going. We've been to Vegas, and we have bought strippers and things. And I heard the thing with Scooter Braun is, I know Scooter has something over Bieber's head, but it was weird. It was to the point to where either him and Scooter had something going on. It was him and Diddy. I remember Scooter Braun coming over to the house, and when he left, Bieber was upset. And the same thing happened at this video shoot. And there's a few things out there. You see it on TMZ. We were all on there. I have to pull them up and send them to you. Where I'm driving the Range Rover, and TMZ is like right behind me. We're going from video shooting, stuff like that. That stuff really happens. And so, like I said, the real thing with the industry, I can't say whether you are spiritual or not. I have seen. It's kind of hard for me to say. I have seen. I don't know if you know what the Baphomet is. People don't really know what the Baphomet is or seen it. But
exactly.
I know
it's the half man, half beast. It's the Church of Satan symbol.
I have had a couple of interactions with that. It's crazy. I've seen eyes change in artists, in Bieber. Bieber's eyes changed one day. We were doing some stuff, and I remember his eyes, and it's crazy. It's a deep conversation. And then I've also seen the, oh my God, I guess more so the outline spiritually of it. I can draw you a picture of exactly what I saw. I remember seeing one day, and I don't know if it was a vision or a dream or something like that, but whatever it was, it kind of fleed from me this one particular day. But it was definitely the Baphomet horn look, but he had a kimono on and he was 9 feet tall. I know it sounds crazy, but like I said, that world, in that realm,
so for the record, I can't name the family member or the ex-family member, but I've dealt with demonic possession. I know exactly what it looks like, and when you're talking about the eyes, they turn to glass. You see the black people, but it's like looking into a piece of glass towards the back of the pupil where you're actually looking at the demon. I've seen it. I don't know what else to say to people. Some people believe it, some people don't. I don't care. But to go from a normal pupil to something that is completely jumping off the bed, screaming, "You will not take my soul, Lord," over and over and over, and then having these black pupils that looks at me and says, "Oh, you're the good guy." You know, there's a real thing of demonic possession. There's a real thing of demons in general, and people have no idea. It's like Beyonce. When she flat out said, you know, multiple interviews, she goes out and she welcomes in Sasha Fierce or whatever that demon is, and Sasha Fierce takes over and she starts singing for Beyonce, and Beyonce's like, I can't do that up there. That's Sasha Fierce. When did she stop talking about that? 5 or 6 years ago, and you know, it's like that's a very real thing. They get these stars to a point, and this is my studies, and I've not met Britney. I've not met all these stars, but this happened to Britney. This happened to Angelina Jolie. They rape them continually. They tie them to beds. They rape them over and over, and they get them to a point of such violent anger. And then the warlocks or whoever they are will enter the demon into these music industry stars so that they can get to that point of control. And it's the same with I got multiple names that I've read about, heard about, talked, you know, that their own words are convicting them that they are dealing with demonic possession.
I got one for you. You want to hear it? So one of, and this is not off Bieber, but for more so Lil Wayne, and this scared me actually. But one of Wayne's team members admitted seeing in a studio session a guy walks in. I guess it was a spirit. It looked like a man, but they keep saying it was a man without a face. And I've heard that several times in the industry. I can confirm that. You know, a lot of artists that always said they run into the man without the face. And that's scary to me because if you imagine, like, how do you have no face, but everyone has the same description of it? Well, a buddy of mine in the studio said there was a guy that came in. One of Wayne's top songs that he has right now, I don't want to mention the song. I don't want you to listen to it because I think there's a possession in it. But he said this guy came in, he was dressed like an old soldier, man without a face. He said this guy literally like turned to dust almost and went into his windpipe in front of them. I know this is crazy. Y'all don't have to believe it.
No, that's right.
You know, but I knew he wasn't lying. Because the same thing that I saw, the eyes change and then the whole Baphomet head things, like I remember seeing a hand turn to dust. Like it was weird. It was a weird vision. I remember being awake, but it was like I was it was weird. No drugs, no anything like that. And I remember seeing something try to reach me and the hand turned to dust. As the closer it got to me, it was like my aura or whatever was kind of burning it up. But it turned into blue sand. You know how sand falls? It turned to like blue sand. It was weird. So when I heard that story, I knew they weren't lying because some of these things, and I think my association with those circles, I think it left my windows kind of open for a lot of the spiritual side of it. The sex is there, like the drugs are there, like and I've been offered, you know what I mean, on both ends. The contracts are there, but what's
you sure you want to see on both ends?
No, mine is, I'm just saying. My ass is tight. I will say that. I can't even get my finger up there.
Well, that's why you don't hear it, brother. I'm telling you, man.
I can barely wipe my ass for sure.
Is that because you're in pain?
The offers have been there. Like I said, I have been a part of. Not part of. That's the wrong word to use. I've seen some stuff but I want to confirm what you're saying without spilling too many beans today. And I have a week's long of worth of stories because they're so in depth, because they have the spiritual side beneath them. Because you do see the man's face, you do see the person, but when you go to sleep at night, that's when you see the demons, you see the spiritual stuff come out, you see stuff walking around the houses, you do see shapeshifters and things. I don't know how deep you want to go. Shapeshifters are real.
Brother, go deep, man. The shapeshifters in the Bible, bro. That's nothing. That's nothing new. It's real.
I've seen someone shift in front of me in New York, and I was leaving Diddy's his office, and I've seen someone shift in front of me in New York. You think I'm lying? Like it's out there. It's real. It's real. And I see a producer at Viacom shift. It scared me to death. Scared me, and it was me and her. I don't know what had her possessed. I've seen her in front of me shift. The Beyonce thing with Sasha Fierce, I saw that happen with my own eyes at Coachella. I saw that happen. I saw her speak the prayer or whatever she was, and it was like a big explosion behind her. Your body can feel it. I remember her like mouthing whatever it was, and it was a big explosion, and everyone's like, "Oh my God!" And then your body spiritually, you can pick up on those things. But if you're just numb and drinking and stuff, like you're not gonna feel it. But if you're sober out there and you got all your aura and stuff in place, you'll feel every piece of it. Everything you're saying is true. It's really no speculation. Things are coming out now. And I had a buddy that called me when this Diddy thing happened just a couple of weeks ago, and I can say this: my phone was blowing up. Now Kenny and Quincy don't know these things. My phone, I'll be in my room and it'll be ringing. Hey, bro, you seeing this on TV? Yeah, I see it. All day, bro. What's going on? I don't know. And my phone, because they know that I've worked with him before in several capacities. Not only that weekend, but again. So I'm again in Atlanta. He knew who I was. We all went to where was that? What's the strip club? What strip club were we at? I forgot the name of it. I'll think of it in a minute. But he was in the section right next to us, throwing truck payments and stuff again. Same thing. And Columbus Short was with us, and he got X. You remember that? He's gone too. Columbus Short was in our section. We had a couple of football stars and stuff. A lot of this stuff happens. My brother was actually with me that night. If he was here, you can verify. He saw that. But it's just a lot of things that you actually get privy to and that you see that are there. Now, I don't know how deep you want to go further. You can ask me a question now, and I can try to give you more of what
Carmel, welcome back.
What's up, Carmel?
Yeah, yo.
Carmel.
Brother?
I came in the right time. We talking shapeshifters? I'm all in on this.
Oh,
There you go.
Really?
I think I'm going all over the place. I was trying to give my introduction first, and
no.
Whoever sees is who I am. Like I said, because I'm just a random face right now. But I do have a resume. So it took a while to kind of get through that part, but we're kind of into meat and potatoes right now. So you can jump in, say whatever you want.
Yeah. So like the first thing I'll say, and like I know this topic, we touched on it. We all hanging out, and me and Kelby have talked about this, tons of times. And my thing about is this, and I want to preface this with like, I don't subscribe to the notion or use of any of these things.
Okay.
But is all of this evil? Is everything we're talking about evil? Because like I feel like sometimes it feels evil because we don't know, right? Sometimes like we talked about the word darkness back at Kelby's house.
Yeah.
Okay. Darkness is not evil.
Right.
Black is not evil.
Right.
Darkness was here before light was. Right. But when we talk about the occult, like that's really the unknown. Like I don't know, right? So there's lack of knowledge or there's ignorance towards something. Now that doesn't mean that's not used against us, because it is. Right. And at the same time, the things that they're doing, the power that they are evoking, like the incantation you talked about that Beyonce brings up. Could someone do that in a powerful, positive way? Is there
You mean
not
like LeBron James, when LeBron goes like 666 and like this and like all these symbols right before every game? That guy?
No.
Let me ask you. Okay, here we go. This guy.
I understand.
I'm just trying to figure out, because
I want you guys to start watching something. Anytime you look at social media or in the news or anything, see if you don't see someone inadvertently do this for any reason.
Well, no, we're agreeing there, but you talk about music industry. So for the record, just one second. Let me have the floor, if you don't mind.
666. The car.
For the record, when I started going down the path to see how many music industry stars or movie stars are into this, I took off the internet and created a video called "Who Are You?" You can find it on HISAdvocates TV. In that video, it says, there's about 200. I just found maybe 200 or 300 pictures of movie stars with this over their eye, their hand covering their eye, all about the Eye of Horus, or 666, or the Baphomet, or double eye, or double 666. I mean, it's blatant that they are assigning themselves to these symbols that are, to me, a direct reflection of darkness. I mean, help me understand how they're light.
Okay, so the number 6 is evil, is what you're saying.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay, so I'm saying if I sow 666, which is also the number of carbon, right? We talked about this, right, Kenny?
Yeah.
If I gave you $666, that evil?
No, it's because that's change.
Okay, if I gave you $666 million, you gonna say no?
I'll say give me 666.1. Yeah.
Why?
To
give $1 billion back.
Let's talk about Revelations 13 for a sec. If you want me to read it to you, I will.
Read it.
Grab my Bible.
Read it.
And I saw the beast rise out of the sea, having 7 heads and 10 horns, and upon his horns were 10 crowns, and upon the head of his name was blasphemy. And the beast which I saw was like a leopard, and hold on, it's real small.
You need to
magnifying glass.
Well, like I'm saying, I don't have extra muscle in my eyes. I don't have the black privilege card.
Black privilege.
And the beast which I saw was like a leopard, and on his feet like a bear. Hold on. The wound. Hold on. And I'm just gonna skip. I thought I'd read you the whole chapter. Sorry, I got to go back. What's funny is the scripture's this big on the page, and the commentary is that big, regarding the mark, because the mark, meaning the number of man, which is the number of the beast, and his number is 666 or whatever it says exactly, which is 666. People are they don't know whether it's a chip embedded, they don't know whether it's a tattoo, but we do have a barcode with. Every barcode is numbered with a 6 in the beginning, 6 in the middle, and 6 in the end equivalent on every barcode. We do have a chip from Microsoft that just came out that's going to be working with all the metal chips that are being introduced to people through the V, through chem spraying, the nanoparticulate chips that are in everybody's body right now that are working through the Internet of Things. And working with this Microsoft chip, which I don't know why Bill Gates would ask for patent number 060606 for an embedded chip that communicates with all the other chips in your body to make sure you're doing your job, so it can give you currency, which is exactly what this Bible is saying. So is the number of the beast 666 the number of man? Is that a bad thing? I would say it is. If you take it and you put it on your body, or you put it in your body, then you, according to the Word of God, you're not going to be one with God.
Well, if that's, I think that's more willingly versus unwilling.
100%.
You know what I'm saying? So we didn't ask for it. It's being actually put in us without us willingly.
100%.
So I mean.
So let me go back. So what the scripture says, if someone does not have the mark, they will not be able to buy or sell,
right,
or have goods or services, right?
Right.
Now, you as a person, Kelby, have made it very clear you don't want to be connected to the goods and services of this government, right? So think about it this way. That mark, whether you take it or not take it, I'm not saying that mark means a person cannot be a part of this system.
Correct.
Secondly, melanin's code is also 666. Did you know that? We're melanated people. So
I'm a melanated person.
Yeah.
in all the right places. You want to say that again? So look at it from this standpoint. I'm not saying whether or not using something can be evil. What I'm saying is it's the power that's in those numbers, right? So if someone puts 666 on their patent, they're obviously tapping into that power. There's nothing to say that I can't do that as well. Some people even say that gematria or numerology is evil or pagan. The Bible is full of numerology. Jesus talks about don't forgive 7 times, forgive 7 times 70. That's the number 490. 490 has so many different uses in the Bible and in gematria and numerology. So what I'm saying is, every time we think something is evil because it's been used in an evil way, it doesn't mean it's evil. Even saying darkness, everything spawns from darkness. The womb is dark, the earth is dark, space is dark. None of those things are evil.
No, we're not
dark.
I think
Kenny's dark.
I get
Quincy's
what you're
dark.
Mike
is dark.
I get what you're saying. You're trying to say you're not evil.
100%. I could be.
And I get that. What? I'm not saying just because there's something that's dark, it's evil. And I don't know where you're going with all this, other than, which I already agree with you.
No, what I'm saying is, what I'm getting at was, when we talk about music in the music industry and the use of symbolism and the use of incantations and the use of
well, that part. See, so when you were saying earlier,
the frequency,
because there's frequency, we kind of had this conversation earlier this morning. You know, when we was talking about when he said y'all want to talk about music, and I was saying to him, I was like, well, everything works on a frequency. It's not necessarily evil. You know what I'm saying? Now, what frequency that you're meeting me at, as far as the demonic levels, I should say, probably within there, and you making this beat also predicated on the words that you're speaking, you know what I'm saying, in your lyrics, you know, and so a lot of that plays a big part. Now, we may say, okay, let's just go back to NWA. They was just speaking exactly as far as what was in their neighborhood and how they was being treated. It wasn't necessarily predicated that we're evil people, you know what I'm saying, but society took it as, okay, well, you know, your gangster rap is doing. No, we fucking talking, telling you motherfuckers, basic, excuse my French, on what's really going on in my yard, outside my door. You know what I mean?
This is what I see.
This ain't Iraq. We don't have bombs dropping off on. We have our own police department that's put in place to protect us. That's really doing the tyranny here. You know what I'm saying? And that's no different than New Orleans and any other states. You know. So at the end of the day, as far as the music part, yeah, it's a frequency. You know, it's vibrations. You know what I'm saying? Because you hear good music that make you feel good, make you snap your finger, you want to get up and dance. You know what I'm saying? And then you got other music that put you into a somber mood, or one that's going to put you into a rowdy mood, or, you know, a romantic mood, or whatever the case may be. So yeah, it has
100%. 100%. I believe if we could actually hear the lyrics behind the Book of Psalms, we would be blown away. I think there would be healing properties there that we don't know about. I believe that there's healing properties that have been torn down. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Tartaria or the existence of that. And the music that they had and the organs that they had were the size of an entire church, and they would put music on that resonated and built their nation and built the people. And here we have a nation where and why maybe Tartaria had to be made go away through what is known as a mud flood. You know, you have an entire world that has been under the water. You know, we're finding cities and things everywhere around the world. We don't truly know the truth of pre-existence, of what happened in this world, maybe even 100,000 years ago or 200,000. I know Christianity wants to say that this world was created 6,000, 7,000 years ago. For me, that's very debatable and easily debatable. just based on the scripture, not based on my feelings, and not based on science. It's based on the scripture. All I'm trying to say is I agree with Carmel that there's many things that could be construed as evil that are not evil,
Right.
But could be, like alcohol, for example. Alcohol could cause you to sin. It could cause you to have somebody else fall in and stumble and sin. But it is of itself not a sin. However, somebody created a word called spirits. And why is that? And what does the derivative in the name alcohol mean in Arabic? And when you start getting down to the brass tacks, there is a lot of evil properties behind alcohol. Does that mean Jesus is evil because he created a miracle of creating alcohol for his first miracle? Now, every Christian will come unglued and tell you that was fruit punch. And I'm like telling you, look, every heathen at the wedding is not going to be going, this is the best alcohol in the world that I've ever tasted.
Right.
Thank you, Jesus. Why didn't you bring it out first? Because it was fruit punch? I don't think so.
Right.
I think it's what it was. It was wine.
Mhm.
And they loved it and they enjoyed it and they got a buzz. And what was Christ doing? Was he making fruit punch? No.
Well, there's a saying, God made us in his own image. So, I mean, what does that really mean?
That's a heavy conversation because when you look at our DNA, the connectors of everything within our DNA spell his name, literally.
Exactly. Correct. Yep. So does it reflect on how you act? You understand what I'm saying?
What is image? What is image? What is likeness? What are all these words? I mean,
correct.
You guys, I wish I could just study and understand the Greek, the Hebrew, and the word, the actual word, and get my mind wrapped around what was really said. Because that was one of the things I've been doing for years now is looking at the interpretational issues within just the King James to the New King James. There's 180 issues, 2 of them being taken away from the deity of Christ. So what is lost in the translation from? We've lost books. We've lost like 12 books. People will say, no, you haven't. Yeah, you have. I'm sorry, Mr. Christian, you have. You lost books that were put into the original canonization process and taken out. They're called the Apocryphal.
The 1611.
Yeah. And I actually have a 1613 King James, one of a few.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I get to see the 13 months in the calendar. I get to see they change the month names. They change the weekday names to demon names. Why would you pick a demon name if it didn't mean something?
Correct. That's what I'm saying.
Why would you get people off the feast days if it didn't mean something? Why would you change the Sabbath to a Sunday if it didn't mean something?
Right.
And all those things mean something, and we as a modern day society are not looking at that as at all important. As a matter of fact, I just heard yesterday the name of God is super important, and I've always known it to be.
Yes. Right.
And when you look at it, Yah or Yahovah or Yahshua or Yahushua, there's scripture that talk about the importance of his name and that you will not hold his name in vain. Aren't we holding his name in vain when we call it by another name?
Exactly.
Like Jesus. And people say,
because you're invoking a different
tone, frequency,
spirit, whatever,
word, word, everything.
So I've known. So my
I love talking to my fellow Jews. By the way, thank you.
There you go. Yeah. So from what I understand, his name is Yeshaya. The true name of Christ is Yeshaya, and that's translated in Hebrew. It was an academy that my sister went through, my mom, and they're trying to get me to go through it. So eventually I'm going to go through that academy because I am intrigued and I'm eager to learn, the original meanings of all the Hebrew words and the Hebrew language, and to get a better understanding for myself, But I wanted to jump back to the time frame, how you said Christians believe that the earth is only 6,000 years old, right? So I heard a very profound explanation of why that is. So when God created Adam wasn't created as a baby. Adam was created as a grown man. So he put all that knowledge and years of wisdom and years of everything within him in an instant. So even though he was 1 day old, his thoughts process and his knowledge was multiple years. So maybe he was 30 years old of knowledge in 1 day. So when God created Earth, maybe 6,000 years ago, he probably put 200, 300,000 or 2-3 million years of history and evolution and all kinds of things in 7 days. So those 7 days or 6 days probably transpired 6,000, 7,000 years ago. So that was a profound explanation of when you take the timeline of the Bible and go back to the beginning of time and get your dates. And then that's why science can come back and say, well, no, the Bible is wrong because we got knowledge or we have evidence that it's 200,000 years old or 3 million. Yeah, but it happened in an instant. You understand what I'm saying? So that when I heard that, it made sense to me that I get it. That is very highly likely of that was the great explanation of how we can come to the conclusion that the Bible is correct. Why would it be correct in everything else and not the timeline? You understand?
So watch this. So I don't know if Kelby touched on this a little bit about how our DNA is structured. Yes. So a lot of physicists and scientists talk about how our DNA is capped, right? And there's a lot of people talking about the Anunnaki having done that to us, and somehow or another we were experiments. And some people look at that as being real crazy, and like thinking there's these higher beings that made us into these lower form creatures. In the Bible, Genesis 15, verse 1. If you read it in the original text, the I am there is not the I am we're used to seeing. Usually I am is, Jehovah, or we get other versions of God, the name God. The I am in Genesis 15, verse 1, and in other places is Anunnaki or Anoki. Never heard that in any sermon, any Sunday school, not one time to any pastor. Because I've heard that name Anunnaki for years. And we always, again, this goes back to my thing about things feeling like evil. Because it feels we're unsure.
Where do you get that from? What Bible?
King James. Look in the original text. Use a Blue Letter Bible or some kind of app that'll break down that scripture into the original text.
Well, that just also goes to show
what
you.
What is it? 15?
Verse 15, chapter 5, Genesis 15, verse 1.
I'm sorry, that just goes back to show you and tell you that they don't, as a preacher or a minister, they don't preach everything in the Bible.
No, 100%.
You know what I'm saying? And but yet you want me to believe everything in this Bible.
Well,
you understand what I'm saying? My father's a minister, and not to take from him or anything like that, but I've asked him numerous of certain types of questions, you know what I'm saying? Versus off of my life experiences versus what you preach to me in this church. And some things, really don't add up. It just don't.
No, 100%. You know hey, Kelly, can you pull that up on on the website so we can all see it?
What, 15:1?
Yeah, go to blueletterbible.org. I know it'll pull up there quickly.
Yeah, I have it pulled up in there. 16:11 on my app. It says, after these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abraham in a vision, saying, fear not, Abraham, I am thy shield and thy exceeding great reward. So that's the 1611 version.
So if you could pull that into the original text, does it show that? I think it's Hebrew.
Hold on. I don't know if I can convert.
I just looked at an interlinear Bible, which gives all the different. And it didn't say anything about Akwinaki or whatever you said. I'm pulling up the Blue Letter Bible right now. Then I'll share the screen once I'm done.
Okay.
Boy,
we went off course, but I guess this is where we're supposed to.
It's tangential to the whole idea that the things we're talking about, whether it's music and frequency, like frequency also. When Cain killed Abel, God says his blood screams out to me. It's frequency. It's the frequency of his blood and his death. His blood isn't literally screaming, but it's that frequency, right?
Right.
Because that definitely has everything we can see has frequency. There's vibrations to everything, right?
Yeah,
so
your clothes.
Correct.
100%.
Yeah, and your garments. Yeah.
Yep. Wool, linen.
We should be wearing 100% linen.
Correct.
That's another thing that's demonic that they didn't put, 50% cotton versus 50% polyester.
Correct.
Polyester, yeah.
That's the wrong frequency we supposed to be wearing. But everybody like the way Fruit of the Loom fit. So at the end of the day, you know what I'm saying?
Yep. I just literally started buying linen bed sheets, all that stuff. I'm like,
back in the day, they used to have linen in all hospitals. All the hospitals had linen sheets.
Your mama and your dad and them had linen. Every sheet they had was linen. Yeah. Not these new sheets.
That's what they're called, linens.
Right.
Change the linen.
I didn't realize linen was an actual fabric. I thought that was a name for sheets.
Yeah, change the linens.
Linens.
Okay. Chapter 15.
So here, let me share the screen real quick. But go ahead.
No, go ahead. You can share it. Go share it.
All right. So present, share screen, allow. Okay. So this is. We can refer to any dictionary here. Blue Letter Bible wouldn't come up. So this is. The King James version. After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abraham in a vision, saying, fear not, Abraham, I am thy shield and thy existing great reward. Any other Bible you want to look at? Like, how do we reference the I am?
Yeah, it's whatever. It should translate this to Hebrew, so it don't even matter what Bible version you use.
So you're saying the Hebrew version of that should reflect Anunnaki.
Or Anoki, something like that. Yep.
The Lord thy Abraham's defense and reward, he is justified by faith. Okay, hold on. After these things, the word came to Abraham in a vision. I am thy buckler. All right. It's not the Geneva. I don't think I'm going to find it in any. And I don't have a Hebrew. I don't know how to do the Hebrew search.
Blue Letter Bible won't show up?
No, look. Blue Letter Bible. I click it.
Yeah.
It just sits there. Oh, now it shows up. Okay.
So you go to
Spelled it wrong. After these things, the word of the Lord came unto Abraham in a vision, saying, fear not, I am thy shield and thy existing great reward. This is, what do you want to look through? Which interpretation? You're muted out. Can you guys hear Carmel?
No.
I don't see him either.
Oh, hold on. He must have dropped somehow. Oh, that's right. He missed.
There he is.
You hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you now.
Just type Genesis 15:1 in that search. It don't even matter what. Yeah, go to the search. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. This is what came up. This is what I typed right there.
No. Up there, right there. Type that in there. Yeah. There we go. Now, see where it says tools?
Yep.
To the left, click tools. Okay, there we go. So scroll down. You should see it there. So this is all Hebrew text, right? Keep scrolling. And the I am, the last word. Keep scrolling. The very bottom, the last.
Anaki, it says it right there.
There you go. Yeah.
Wow.
What does that mean?
Wow.
Y'all see that?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What does that mean?
What is it referencing to? It's referencing to the I am.
I get it, but what does it mean to you? I get it. The Anunnaki is a race of beings that are in
I don't know what it is. I don't know who they are, but I'm saying evil or some kind. Yeah, it's some reptilian whatever. But the fact of the matter is that word's in our Bible, but we've never been taught it. We've never been shown it because they don't know or have the audacity to explain it because they're ignorant. So it's easier to keep us like, let's not bring that up. Let's just get to the freaking communion, which is pagan in and of itself. We'll bring that up at another date. But instead of explaining what that is, because they don't know, we just gloss past it. So my whole thing, going back even to music, is the things that we're taught that are evil or we should avoid, the darkness, the occult, we shouldn't be. We should be taught how to use it, just like using a gun. A gun's not evil, right? You talked about fork violence before, right, Kelby?
You're okay. So I agree, but a fork doesn't represent itself as evil. Spells do.
I'm not talking about spells.
What are you talking about?
I'm the word spell itself is our letters evil. Numbers are evil. The words themselves aren't evil. It's how you align them, right?
Would you agree with my white brothers that Carmel's going a bit darker?
My white brothers.
Hey, I'm proud to be dark.
Yeah.
Sure.
Me too.
Me too.
As you should. Because there's the thing, all the things even the word pagan is misrepresented. The word pagan meant to worship outside the city, in the forest, outside of the city gate. Where was Jesus and John and all them? Outside the city gate.
That's right. Yeah, Jesus grew up in the hood. He wasn't in the castle.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Every time he went into the church, he tore that place up.
Yeah,
right. He's talking, you guys are a brood of vipers, throwing over stuff. I'm gonna tear this place down. Why do we still go to church then?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Why are we not doing the things Jesus did?
Right.
Because we're told, no, you should be doing this. If anything, Jesus was pagan. But people think pagan is evil. Right? We worship, we do communion every first Sunday of the month. I'm taking of flesh and eating of blood. The Bible literally says, do nothing like the heathens do. We're literally faking cannibalism.
Well, no, that was the Last Supper before Jesus he was given an analogy.
And it's not a good analogy because Jesus never did that.
Well, we maybe need to look at the Hebrew of what Jesus truly said at the Last Supper. But,
does the Bible also say not to even do anything like the heathens?
Sure, but he said, do this in remembrance of me. He wasn't saying, go and eat of my blood and drink of my...
But that's fake. That's faking cannibalism.
I just think you're misrepresenting the heart of Christ at that moment. But that's a whole...
But where did we get that from? If we're misrepresenting it, who taught us to do it that way?
Well, obviously, traditions are passed from church leader to parishioners for the most part, and then to the next church leader and to the next church leader, and all of a sudden the government's intruded upon all of that, changed the word of God almost entirely from a
standpoint. Well, they did.
Made
my dad's my dad's a pastor. I mean, he's a pastor now, but even when doing his ordainship, I know that they're only supposed to preach so much of the Bible and certain things in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? That's part of it. That's all I'm gonna say. That's part of it. So it's under the government being controlling, like you just said, as far as what information and how you're supposed to break it down to this level and keep it at here.
That's why they took out the Apocrypha.
You understand what I'm saying?
Because the Apocrypha is so literal and so vivid on how it explains things. Is people would take it literally, and I mean, some of it is literal, you know.
So
and I think it is exposed too much.
Let's talk about what's in the Bible. Do you believe in dinosaurs?
I believe in genetically modified gene splicing, stuff of that nature. So I that's why I believe those.
Let's do. I don't mean to interrupt you. Let's do a quick yes or no. Do you believe in dinosaurs? What's that? You're on mute.
I mean, we still have crocodiles, alligators, stuff like that. So in that sense, yeah, but I don't know.
You're on mute, I think.
T-Rex running around with the Liberty hands. You know what I'm saying? How can he? If you bite something, how you go grab it after? You know what I'm saying?
So
yeah, I mean,
I believe in dinosaurs because it's not only in the Bible, but there's too much evidence to prove of their existence, and there's a lot of people that say something to the contrary. But I've actually seen the bones. Got to talk to the diggers. Got to see the people that dug it up. Do you believe in giants, giant men?
Yes. Yes.
1,000%.
Now this so
1,000.
I never seen where
30-foot tall giant men. Do you believe in 30
in the Bible? Can you show me that?
Say what?
Dinosaurs in the Bible.
The book of Job. You ready?
Let's go.
Let's go.
I stopped believing in dinosaurs when I found out the giants were real, but I started believing again because my buddy has his grandfather worked for Halliburton, and he had dinosaur bones on his man.
Really?
Thing right here. Yeah. In Texas. Isn't that crazy?
He had dinosaur bones on his ranch?
Huh?
You said he had dinosaur bones on his ranch?
On his mantle inside his house.
Oh, on his mantle.
Mm-hmm.
I believe a lot of the mountains we look at are dinosaurs.
Well, I stopped believing because I was
just giant animals.
Well, I knew giants were real and they were trying to cover that up. So I believed because I was like, all these museums, these are the human bones somewhere. Just because where did they go? Put them in a museum, put them in your face somehow. You know, they said their men stood 30 feet. You know, that is mind blowing to think about that, but you know that's real. And then you're looking at a structure in a museum that's 30 feet tall, but it's shaped like a T-Rex. What is a T-Rex? You know, like I'm like, where all these names come from? You know, how do you know how they look? Unless they were just laying in that order whenever you found them. You know, did you just dig them up and put them in order or whatever? I don't know. But I believe that giants are real. But dinosaurs, I started believing again when I heard the Halliburton story. Man.
See, I think the biggest evidence of giants is the structures we live in or worship in, like cathedrals and temples that have ridiculous ornate detail, 30, 40, 50, 60 feet in the air.
Yeah.
That would take us hundreds of years to do.
Yeah.
And at that level of detail, one person is not doing that. But if I make a little, railroad track town in my garage, I can make little structures and and put little carts around. I can do that in my garage for a much smaller entity, right? Because today we're not building anything like that.
No, right.
There's no temple, church anywhere remotely close to the detail. I remember watching when the Queen died, and they're walking through that church she was in, and I'm like, how in the world did they in 1504 get 30 arcs perfectly lined up with no structures other than scaffolds, perfectly
to the centimeter.
So
Right.
there's not just dinosaurs. There's a reference of dragons in the Book of Job.
Yeah.
But in
unicorns.
Job 40 verse 10, behold now behemoth, whom I made with thee, which eateth grass as an ox. Behold now his strength is in his loins, and his force is with the navel of his belly. When he taketh pleasure, his tail is like a cedar tree. The sinews of his nose are wrapped together. His bones are like staves of brass, and his small bones are like staves of iron. He is the chief of the ways of God. He that made him will make his sword to approach unto him. Surely the mountains bring forth him grass, where all the beasts of the field play. It goes on to say, but there's even a dinosaur in the Book of Job where it literally talks about, and out of his nose he brings forth lightning, meaning fire. So, and then you look at the hieroglyphics, and listen to me, guys. This is Egyptian notations back 3,000, 4,000 years ago. They're writing on the back of dinosaurs in some of them. So man did exist at the same time. It's when, and it's and that's something to consider at the very least. But there's next thing. Do you believe in a 30-foot tall man?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Do you believe they still exist?
No, not here.
Maybe in that mountain we was talking about, Mike.
There's a big article about the military in Iraq encountered one in a big tunnel.
Well, what we've seen in our travels this year, there's a mountainside in Texas. I mean, undeniable has to be some kind of home, cathedral, something undeniable. I have photos of it. Giants were real, and you can see the door frames, and it was crazy. I thought y'all were going to touch on that about the structures we have now. It has an origin, it does. Like in this rock, it looked like a church. It looks like a house. It looks like a decorated door frame of some kind of religious building. One looks like a mansion. The same houses that you see in the country club with the shutters and the structure of it. There's a mountain that looks
even
like
had a border fence around it. Yeah. You can just look at it. If you really look at it, you know what I mean?
Do you remember that comparison I showed you guys? And it was a biblical comparison. I showed y'all pictures. The cover of that biblical and that what we saw, identical.
Almost identical.
Yes, it is real. I couldn't believe what we were seeing.
Where in Texas was this?
West Texas, where no one is at. No one's out there.
Yeah.
Right
before you get to New Mexico?
Right before we went into New Mexico. Right.
And remember, we were in that portal. Remember,
the times kept changing on our phones. 1 hour, 2 hours.
Not the hours.
Not
the
the
minutes
hours.
were in the truck.
Yeah.
You remember
my hours were changing. Right. My hours and my minutes were changing.
In the same. Listen, in our face. It wasn't no dream. We were driving from
moving.
The whole time we was in portal. The whole time we was in Arizona.
The whole time.
You could feel it. Like you can feel.
You can have no. And the trucks, bro. The minutes trucks were going in the hours back and forth the whole time, and we were going in one direction. Because remember, I was saying that. I said, we tell me we've been going in and out of the. I said, we going straight. We kept one direction the whole time, and it was twitching the whole time for like 2 hours.
Yes.
So Sedona, I've been to Sedona in Arizona, and they have like places called the Vortex and the Portal. The whole place is gorgeous, but it looks fake.
Yeah, but you feel it. You can actually feel it.
You can feel it. 100%. 100%. I sat on one of those rocks.
The whole time we was at the races and stuff I'm like, we couldn't get a phone call out. I mean, we got Wi-Fi running to the trailer, but we can't get nothing.
Acting crazy. It was nuts, man.
You guys looking at this?
Yeah.
Man right there, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is the last known picture, 1901, of the Giants from Neverland.
That's not that long ago, bro.
It's not.
It's not that long ago. 1901.
This one blows me away.
Look at this fool. You know what I'm saying?
1923, photographed in Afghanistan. Obviously, I looked at this picture and I saw some flaws that could be construed as photoshopping.
True.
Because the background was so perfect, the same color.
Yeah.
But you know, the Giants do exist. They're out there. She could be on stilts for all we know. She's on stilts too.
See, what I think it is, and this goes back to a lot of other stuff, is like there's always a tangential partial truth, right? So let's say Giants did exist or whatever, and it's easier to kind of misguide me or mislead me into thinking they're these big sloth things that allow people to control them. I don't know that it's that. I do believe they existed, because my other thing is this: aliens or giant people, whatever, if they were real right now, how are we catching them? If aliens are more powerful than us, how are we intercepting them, right?
Correct.
So I don't know that they exist the way we think they do. They probably do in some other aspect, right? But it's me thinking propaganda, agenda, thought process. Mm-hmm. If I let people know the truth, I'm gonna lose control, right? So I give them a little bit. I give them a little taste. You know, I satisfy their curiosity with, you know, Bigfoot and stuff like that. But then I don't give them the reality. I think the reality, one, would freak us out. Two, we might realize we have more power than we're being led on to believe.
Mm-hmm.
That's the biggest thing. If we were, remember I was talking to you guys about the third eye thing, right?
Yeah.
Versus the first eye thing, right? Mm-hmm. Those kind of things, if I keep giving you a little bit of truth, but I mix it with a little toxic falsities, I keep you under control. So what's cool about the conversations me and Kelby have is that we're open to talk about everything, right? Put it all out there. Like, why hold back? Because for some reason, someone's been holding us back, whether it's Illuminati, whether it's Anunnaki, whether whoever it is, right? We know there's something else out there that we're not privy to. So, like, how do we figure it out? How do we delve into those things? Because we feel it, right? You driving around, you see something that don't look right. It's not right.
Right.
Something's up, right? Yeah. Or you see someone, like when we first met, why did it click? Why does our energy? This is not. We're not making this up, right? Yeah. So there's always something right or wrong. When we feel it, we're not taught to trust it.
Yeah.
We're not taught to dabble into that frequency. This is way more powerful than this. I could communicate way more powerful in my brain if I was taught how to do it. They don't want to do that. They don't want us doing that.
It's just like taming a lion or a tiger.
Yeah.
Well, I think more so that's what they're scared of. Because us actually figuring it out that we can actually communicate. It doesn't mean about race, color, or whatever. You know, we actually can communicate and actually come together like two butt cheeks and be the shit. You know what I'm saying? And that's what the fuck they scared of. Excuse my French. But you know what I'm saying? Seriously. But it's real though. You know what I mean? You feel me?
Hey.
That's what they're scared of, you know, and I think that's a lot has to do with the people that run this country. They don't want to get together, man. You feel me? And a lot of
I'm feeling you, bro. I'm feeling you, Q.
You know?
Yeah,
oh my God.
And that has a big part as far as the frequency of why we use our brains and what we see on TV as far as the clothes that we wear. It breaks them. It's almost breaking our immune system down. We almost need to go ahead and start being naked again so that we can be free, if that's the case. You understand what I'm saying?
I hear you 100%.
Hey, on that, what is a good clothing line that we could buy? That's
that's true. Create our own.
Buy
the linen.
But we'll call it between the cheeks.
That we supposed to, you know. What'd you say, Kelly? What'd you say, Kelly?
We'll call it between the cheeks.
Between the cheeks.
They'll think it's sheets, you know.
It's some high quality shit. You know what I'm saying?
Hey, you know what?
That on the
You know
tag
what?
is some high quality shit. You know?
I'm glad Q didn't come that night, man, because we would have never left.
bro.
Bro.
That is so
Oh
funny.
my God. dog.
That is
I
so
told you, Kelvin, it was all about timing, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
good.
I was missed, but I wasn't missed.
Yeah.
Oh, Q be on that rapid fire, man.
Just the tip. Just
Yeah. That's what she said.
That's what she
Oh
just
my
the
God.
tip. You guys are funny, man.
Bro.
Did we get out what we need? I mean, we're on 2 hours right now. Did we get out what we needed to get out on Diddy? And I mean, do you got any confessions, Micah, you want to talk about?
He's a my He's a
Terry Almond.
and I thought nope, I don't have only thing I can say is kind of going off what Carmel was saying about the number sequence and things. And so I don't know, I can say this. I don't know what I believe about the trick number sequence. I've known when it's appeared to me, I've noticed things kind of get darker, shadowy. I mean, I say dark, shadowy.
Hey, there's nothing wrong with associating. There's a lot of white fools out there that are pretty dark.
Well, let me say this. Every time I've seen it, and I saw it in Phoenix, everywhere, like cars and things like that. But I can say this: in the industry, it is noticeable. Every major artist that I've worked with, okay, in music, and I work with Maxwell and stuff too. That sequence has shown up in some shape or form every time.
That's scary.
Someone's license plate. I've seen someone's tour bus had it on the side, and it's their number. It's the number of the bus. So I don't know if that's the roll of the dice, and it just kind of happens like that. I don't know if the spirit realm is creating that sequence to come up in that order. But I'm telling you, Justin Bieber, the car we had and the Mercedes I had it on the license plate. Maxwell's bus had it on there. You open a drawer in R. Kelly's dressing room, and it's in there. You know, the freaking the fire extinguisher numbers in someone's house has it on it. And I'm not saying just that minor detail. Like it's displayed. Like you'll see it. And I don't know if they're doing that or not. But I remember calling my brother. I was in Calabasas, and I was with Bieber at the time. Like I said, we were going crazy. Like it was fun, crazy parties, unsupervised, nothing, you know. And I called my brother. I'm like, bro, I said, something is out here protecting us. Something is around us. And when I said protecting us, it was keeping us from legal danger. Let me not say legal because that means something else, you know, talking to you guys. But it was keeping us
right.
It was keeping us away from the authorities coming in and apprehending the stuff that we had. And that was every night. But you can feel it. And I can say that it is a presence there that's noticeable, that's there, that keeps everything contained. I was wanting something to happen one night just to see if something would be real, and it never would. Something is always pushing it away, and you can feel it. I called my brother several nights and told him, hey, bro, something is here around us every night. The Diddy stuff, too. You see they didn't catch him. Talk about that. You know, you raid your house all day, and he never showed up for an interview. He never got apprehended. See what I mean? And this is trouble.
Yeah.
Like, so you got to look at stuff like that. You know, stuff is coming up in the media. Yeah, there is a tell-all and all this other stuff, but there's no consequence for it. You know, there's something there.
There isn't. And on that note, those guys have get out of jail free cards because they're, you know,
not in this realm anyway. Yeah.
Right.
In that realm, like, look at the Clintons, dude. I mean, as Secretary of the State for the United States Corp, she raised hundreds of millions for her own foundation from foreign interests. Right there, that's jailable. Mm-hmm. She had 30,000 emails disappear. That's jailable. There's been 100+ deaths from her Secret Service, people close to her, right around her. I personally know of a friend whose cousin was an FBI agent on the case. Hillary and her entourage in 2001 walked into the FBI office and said, you will not investigate me. Give me that file. She looked at her superior. The superior said, "Give it to her." Got the file out of her hands, walked out of the FBI office as a first-hand material fact witness. And she quit the FBI because there's no truth behind those organizations anymore. There's no validity anymore. So, it is what it is. It's like darkness, just because you're not getting in trouble or you're getting protection around you doesn't mean it's a godly protection, maybe. You could have a spiritual protection that wants to keep you alive because you're being used for the devil's purposes, There's a video of Justin Bieber. I don't know if it's real, but it looks real, blowing a black guy on in a club. And the camera comes walking up. The guy gets noticed. Bieber pulls his head off the guy's crotch and turns towards the camera and does a weird thing, and there's stuff out there like that. Like, what did these guys have to do to get into those positions? And there's multiple accounts that they had to blow Diddy. Yeah. They had to take it up the rear from Diddy. They lived with Diddy. They fought over Cocoa Puffs with Diddy. In bed together, there's these are their stories that are online. It's like, crap, man, can't we just have a
what was different in that movie Studio 54?
Well, I can't say this, but that video that you saw, I've also seen that video, and without me telling you too much, I was in Vegas with Bieber one time, and we went to a club like that. I'm telling you without telling you.
Okay, got it.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, and that's why he's tormented.
I'm standing out there. Yeah, and it was closed curtains, a bunch of used condoms everywhere. That I did see that. I've also seen a phone. I've seen a phone. And this turned my. It's hard for me to say this, and I'm almost saying turn your phones off, but we all on our phones. But I have seen a phone with child pornography attached to it. Yeah. And it's from one of those circles. And it's bad. Like it'll turn your stomach. Like you don't realize what you're looking at until you see it. And it's of course not my phone. I'm not looking it up, but on someone's phone, I dropped it. Like I dropped the phone. I'm like, what is this? Because you see it's wretched, but we not holding nothing back. All you see it's the kid. You see a child on the bed, right? And the child's face is just kind of distraught. It's crazy. It's turning my stomach now. But you see like a worry, like if your stomach was hurting, you know how your face kind of turns, and then the phone kind of goes up, and it pans out, and then you see what's actually happening. Not a movie. That's on someone's phone. You see what?
So, question: Bieber.
Now I did see that. And my oldest brother's Navy, he has a story where he did some kind of covert stuff, and this not no celebrities. He said he's actually had a case where that happened with some people he had to go get too. My brother's starting to talk too. He's Navy, but he got some stories too. And mine come from the industry. We talk all the time. His comes kind of from behind the veil as well. But yeah, I did see that too on someone's phone, and it brought me to tears. Like I had to step away and like literally like pray. It had me for like a day. I didn't know what I was looking at. I dropped the phone.
So let me ask you this: do you think? Because I mean, all of us here can't even fathom, ever being in a mental state to do something like that, right?
Yeah.
And even in the depravity of a man, I could see them maybe abusing a woman, right?
At the most.
At the most, right?
At the most.
Definitely.
To do that to a child. Is it
like a 3-year-old?
Oh my goodness.
So this is what I'm saying. Is it really humans at this point, monsters or not monsters? Like, are we dealing with reptilian people? Because some of these people who do this look like they have no soul. The look in their eye looks so dead that it would almost make sense why this doesn't bother you. You're just tapping into something to get whatever. Well, like we all know the movie Monsters Inc. is also representative of this whole situation, right?
Yeah, right.
Where they're snatching kids' fear to fuel their city, right?
Yeah.
So if I'm a reptilian person, I just know that's how I get fuel. That's the only thing that makes sense, because it's so mind-boggling that adult men would do this.
Well,
it's so weird to me.
Right.
So
Well,
that goes back to frequency.
it does.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's fuel, that's energy. You just said it. That's fuel, that's energy. That's like dealing with a succubus. You know what I'm saying? A sex demon. You know what I'm saying? They're only just there for the energy, you know, and they don't really have. You don't even have to be in a room. It could be telepathically. Well, if you hold it, if you understand what I'm saying, if you're holding that person in your spirit like that,
Carmel and Quincy, bro, it boggles me, and I used to. I mean, you're there. You see so much. It's kind of hard to just tell it all in one sitting, because it takes me a day to tell you about a day. You see what I mean? It's so much happening in that day. It takes about it. So it's kind of hard for me to really say this or that, but I can say on that phone that I saw, it was noticeable. And I'm not, you don't know what you're seeing, but the male member, like your stuff, it was, you can see it. It was what you call circumcised different. It was like the tip was cut. It was weird. And then it was definitely a white or non-colored member. So I was like, all right, it wasn't a black guy doing it. So I don't know if that does come from a more reptilian, because the member itself that was using to sodomize the child was crazy, bro. I dropped the phone. It was scary. It turned my stomach for 2 days. I was almost in tears. I can tell you, I saw that with my own eyes.
That's crazy.
It's crazy. And so, and I don't know. Like I said, it was. I don't know. I don't know if, with all of it, it's relatable. Industry, demonic, whatever you want to name it. And like I said, the line between everything is so thin. It's paper thin. Like I said, with your belief, with actually what you see. I know I've been put in a position. I do thank God for it. I do. I know I'm very spiritual. I pray a lot. And I know I've been privy to see a lot of things. But for me, I needed those things to make it make sense. Because I think at one point, I stopped believing, saying, well, this ain't real. This ain't real. This don't matter. This don't matter. Because you start to see stuff and you're like, man, it's not. You know what I mean? Just like any stuff that make you a non-believer, you're not going to believe it. But then you start to see more and more, and you realize that all of it's related. All of it. Like, whether it's unbelievable to see certain things, but you know that's just as real as you touching a flower outside. You know, it's all created, it's all real. What side do you stand on? The thing I struggled with is, you know, God is good, you know, the creator of all. But the thing I struggle with is the God that we praise create good and evil. How can you create both? If the evil you see is so bad, it's gut wrenching. Like, how did you create that? And you can also create something so good. That's where my disbelief was coming in. I'm sold now. I'm good. Like, I know I'm on the good side. I pray every day. I'm good. Let's rock. Let's roll. You know, like I'm good. There's no sway no more. But at one point, that's where I was at. And I'll admit that. And that's the first time Kitty and Quincy's ever heard. It's probably the first time I've ever admitted that. I haven't told anyone that ever. But I'm glad I'm on this side of it, and I know many more doors and stuff are opening up, but I know I can handle that now. I've gotten offers already. I've gotten offers to go to, you know, get in someone's bed. I've gotten offers to have for a guy to, you know, go down on me in a green room. I've gotten those offers already. It's happened. I haven't accepted it, you know, but it happens. That's just what that lifestyle is. I got a buddy. I'm not gonna say it. I'll just save it for another conversation.
No.
I know someone. They were doing an interview with Kanye West, much like this one. Kanye West said, "If you want this interview, you got to shove a dildo up your ass." That happened.
Oh yeah,
Kanye West. That happened because you know why? Because the interview happened. He called me right after it happened. He said, like, you believe what he made me do. It happened, right? That kind of stuff, just to get what we're doing right now, just to get an interview. Yeah. Wow. So that's how deep it goes. Like I said, goes.
That's the industry. You know,
It's really whatever they want. So I don't know where the entitlement comes from. Like I said, you have a fear. There's no fear. there's no death, there's no consequence. So you get out here and do whatever you want to. You can have it. It's at your call. Kanye West wants to come and talk to you right now, or have you come over. You know, you got to do this, and this in order to get this.
So you touched on something that's been part of my I say last progression in terms of my church career.
Okay.
Before I retired from the church.
Okay.
Because you said, like, why is there so much evil, right? If God is so good, how did he create evil? And I've always been curious as to, like, I believe it is in Job, as we brought Job up earlier, how Satan is able to access God. He walks into the throne room and asks God about Job. And they have a full-on conversation. It's like, yo, look at Job. He's just chilling. Why is Job chilling? Because Job loves me. Yeah, because you ain't tested him yet. Test him and see what happens. That whole conversation happened, right? So as I got older, I started thinking to myself, maybe it's not, again, the way I've been taught in church about creation, or this being one benevolent human God. Because I always ask my mom, why do we call God man or father, right? You don't have a penis, right? Because if he was a man, he would be incomplete, right?
Right.
Why wouldn't God be everything, all things, male and female, black and white, in and out, right? There is no he. He can't be a he, right? Unless the person we're talking about is a higher version of myself. Is that my God? Because here's the thing, in the Bible, we get Elohim, right? Which means more than one God, means multiple gods. Doesn't even mean three, just means a multitude of gods, right? Then in Jesus, when Jesus is on the cross, he says Elohi. In Arabic or Aramaic, that means my God. It's specifically meaning one, and he's talking to.
Okay.
So maybe Jesus is talking to his God, a higher version of himself. Because everywhere Jesus showed up, his adversary was there.
So if you take a look at your thought process there, and this is maybe another show for all of us, quite frankly, but that excludes the element of creation. That excludes the element of a creator to think.
No, it doesn't.
That we are the creator. I mean, I'm not saying that we weren't created in his image. It says the angels are jealous of us because of our ability to create. There's many scriptures talking about our ability to create through the secular version is whatever it's called in that movie, The Secret. But there is a fact that, you can do what Christ did out of his own mouth and more. And,
Correct.
what does that look like? But I believe there was a creator. I don't think it was a gob of I don't think we went from the goo to the zoo to us.
Of course not. No, there's no way.
I believe there was a very intelligent design of creation, and I believe the name of Yahushua or Jesus is actually God incarnated as the Son of God and spent time here on earth and died on a cross specifically to complete a covenant. Now, that's hard for a lot of people to believe because once you start studying, you see those stories repeated in other religions that predate Christ. That doesn't mean necessarily that it's true, number one. Number two, doesn't mean that it wasn't predicted or forecasted or some type of that, like if Satan knew the plan, if there was a Satan or the devil, the adversary, knew the plan, whatever his name is, you would try to create a bunch of trickery to get people to look away from the Bible, to get people to look away from the historical timeline of introducing his son, to get people to look away from, all of these things that are important, like change the calendar, change the name, change the books, change the historical timelines.
Baker was his favorite.
Take away prayer. Well, if the government's taking away prayer, there's got to be a good thing coming about with prayer. If they're putting low frequencies in music, there's got to be a good thing with the higher frequencies, love and forgiveness and getting rid of bitterness. Whatever they're teaching, there's got to be an opposite that's good, that's for God.
Correct. Right.
And that's what continually leads me back to a creator that is pure love, who gave his only son for me, for you.
Right.
And I can't discount that because history says it's true.
Right.
And
he gave free will. He gave free will. Not to cut it off.
He gave free will. Screw around if you want. If you do, you're going to pay a price.
Correct.
But the blood is there to cover you for a good chunk of time. When David didn't walk with the Lord for years, it says God was with him. He didn't even have the blood covering him. He had God. You know, it said God will never left David. He was always by his side. And it also says he'll steer our path straight. So there's many things that I'm not trying to bank on to live a life of sin. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying history points to everything I just said as being true. Now,
so
go ahead.
So basically, even the words you were just saying, those words hold a frequency. You understand what I'm saying? So even when you speak those words, that's reassurance. That's okay. I know that there's evil. You know what I'm saying? I can't see it. Can I participate? Of course. It's a choice. You know what I'm saying? Can I be good? Yes, I can. Do I have evil thoughts? Sometimes. You know? Are all my thoughts good? Most of the time. You know what I'm saying? So, do I want to ring the motherfucker's neck that just cut me off on the road? Yeah, sometimes. You know what I'm saying? So, it's all about how we look at it. And you may say, okay, well, let me step back. But this comes with growth. Let me step back and say, maybe I'm looking at it wrong. God forgive me for having that thought about that person I just cursed out that they didn't even hear me, didn't know that they even probably cut me off. They could have been old or whatever the problem may be. You know what I'm saying? I'm going off of my own energy and my own aspects of how I looked at the situation and I judged it. You see what I'm saying? So when we have those type of thoughts, we have to instantly pull back and say, God, forgive me. So that's you keeping your faith far as in where you are solid within yourself as far as who you are. I can never pull myself together to say, okay, I'm finna go sodomize this 3 years old and then go to church tomorrow. The fuck, my friend. You know what I'm saying? So, but you got people that's able to do that.
Let me ask you a question.
They ain't going to church the next day, I believe.
Listen to what I'm saying. But you got some that can actually do that.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Are you guys angry that Jesus is white?
Nah.
Yeah, well, first and foremost, I just wanted to talk about that. I don't know, you know. He is white. I mean,
with a perm, right?
By today's standard, white with a perm.
I got a long
perm and a tan.
Yeah, with a perm mullet. That's what it is.
Light skin.
Funny stuff. Hey, listen, man. There's a lot we could talk about, guys, and I actually want to talk to you guys more. Are you adverse to having different conversations about some of these matters and
never.
Maybe going down that road of white privilege and black privilege and
let's go.
Let's go, man.
I worked at BET, Black Entertainment Television. Let's go.
I worked at Honky Network. I mean,
I'm from Dulac. We do like we want.
That's hilarious.
That's hilarious. That is comical. So, and those things are important because, you know, I don't have a Black History Month.
Yeah.
You know, and if I did, I don't have an Ivory magazine.
Everyone is Black History Month.
Isn't that racist? I mean,
yes,
you all can have it and I can't.
That is.
And why can you all say the N-word but I can't? What's wrong with that?
You can say as much as you want. It's just a consequence behind it.
It's country.
You don't know where I'm at.
You have free will. You have free will.
You don't scare me, Micah. That's funny.
I don't take offense to any of that. I would love to have a further conversation about it because the reason why, and I think I'm going to say some stuff that may shock you all. I don't have a stance, having worked in that environment and then going back home to Texas and having my buddies that I grew up with that are more of non-pigment, and these are my brothers. I have a lot of white buddies that are like, we like brothers, Mexican, all of us, white, green, brown, blue, it don't matter to me. We've always been colorblind. But seeing the perspective and the mentality of what I left from and then what I'm going to, and it's a noticeable difference in some environments that are all black, noticeable. And I'm not saying this to offend anybody on there. It is a noticeable difference of the organization at an all black environment versus not. Where I'm saying there was a lack of organization and there was a lot of confusion that dwelled in those environments. And I knew, I was like, this is not what it's supposed to be at all. And I think that's why I kind of run my teams and stuff like I do, is I've always had a hard stance against what I didn't want. I was always shown the example of these powerful leaders and stuff who are, black men and women that would cuss you out in the office and stuff. I'm like, man, you're not supposed to be talking to nobody like this. And I always took a real big stance. And I'm not saying that's weakness or strength or anything, but that was just not my choice or my preference on how to lead. And that's just a further conversation. I say all that to say, I was watching TV yesterday, and just to touch on your topic, Kelby, about the Black History Month and all this, there's a Black Twitter show that's coming out now where my black is my truth and all these things. And I'm looking, I'm like, that to me, it sounded offensive. Me being, a man of color, it did sound offensive, and I can speak, I guess, from both sides. I'm not a white man or anything like that, but I do have brothers that have come up to me at home telling me that they are offended by the things that they see on TV concerning black people. And they're comfortable enough to tell me that. And the thing is, I have to listen to them because I want to hear your perspective. I'm not mad that you brought that up to me. Tell me how you feel, and I love hearing your perspective because that is their perspective on it.
Right.
Having enough heart and courage to even have that conversation. I am offended. I have been racially profiled. I have been discriminated against. My buddy Billy, a truck driver, country is all get out. And he says he's been discriminated against all the time by black people. And he said it makes him feel bad. He said that. He calls me all the time. And I'm like, bro, I'm sorry. And I hugged him last time I saw him. I really felt for him. Right. We all have our different walk. Right. So I would love, and I say all that to say, I would love to have that conversation or any conversation you guys want to bring up. I love y'all. I'm a fan of the show. I'm a fan of Carmel. I think he's the smoothest brother alive next to Quincy's dad. Still be smooth. And Kelby, I love you to death, man. I'm so glad that and I was actually afraid that you weren't going to embrace, I know you, Kenny and Quincy, because they're much older than me, but I didn't feel like you were going to embrace me as much as you have. And I just want to say I appreciate you for doing so, having us in your house and having these conversations. I would love to be a part of it. I don't have the athletic ability like that Kenny and Quincy does, nor the knowledge. They read much more than I do, and they're much older, and their walk of life is a lot more broad than how mine is. But I would love to be a part of these in the future as well, along with you guys. Well,
it's for sure a lot of fun, and you know what? It breaks and breaks through boundaries that are I want to have fun with the racial comments. I want to have fun with the stuff that people would consider offensive, like where every Karen in the world would jump out and go, "How dare you?" And it does. It blows my mind that you got white women and white men that are trying to stand up for the black culture, and more so than the black culture standing up for itself, because they're trying to be you, and they're wanting your acceptance. There are some questions that I have, like there's a lot of hardships going on right now. There's a lot of division. I've had more racial issues with black people, and they don't even know that all my friends my close friends are black. And I tell them that, and they're like, "Sure, you're calling me a racist, and I'm just like, what did I do? Nothing. It's like picking fights for no reason, and I'm just trying to figure out how do we. This is what this show is about. It's showing people. We talked about religion, Diddy, a ton of different touchy topics, and it could get way more touchy. But you know what? We laughed our butts off, and we laughed the other night together, and it's because color doesn't divide us, and there is no color. We're all men. That's why I'm sensitive to, should we really be discussing race all the time? Should we really be discussing reparations? Should we, and that's a big one that I think that we need to discuss, because it's on the table all across this nation for the people that were supposedly damaged and feel like they didn't have a fair shake. And that's how Carmel feels, and whether I agree with it or not.
That's not how I feel.
Whether I agree with it or not, whether it's right or wrong, I can mute you right now, Carmel.
I can mute you right now.
Exercising his white privilege. It's all good.
Oh,
Got a silent off, man.
What I want to know is why did Micah get a black card in a black SUV? What's up with that?
What's up with that? Huh?
What's up? Sounds like black privilege.
Unlimited.
Why is a black card a black card? I don't remember white card getting me unlimited spending wherever I went. It's a black card.
It's just physics, yo. Black is the absorption of all colors. White is the absence of all of them. So it's just not nothing we can do about it, yo.
It's actually the base color of all colors.
Right. The speed of dark's faster than the speed of light too.
Yeah.
Nothing we can do about that. It's just physics, dog.
Is it?
Yeah.
I've never heard that one.
Light can't escape a black hole.
You want to bet?
You gonna buy one?
No. But I'm sure there'll be a Diddy story that will learn that.
ain't no light escaping Diddy's black hole.
I'm just saying without saying like Micah does, Anyway, guys, I want to thank you guys for coming on, and seriously, you're a good bunch. I think we're gonna have I don't know if it's gonna be a Diddy 3 or what, but I don't think we got fully everything Micah wanted to say, so we might want to have Micah do a shot or two, and just before he comes on next week, relax that tension out, get it all relaxed.
I had y'all cut y'all's phones off. Remember that? So we can't cut our phones off here.
You
so
did.
I'll figure it out. Maybe,
hey, Carmel, you want to touch on Diamond for a minute or what?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So our uncle, Diamond Joe, is a blues singer, and he had a bunch of big hits in the 60s, early 60s, late 60s, right? He was a U.S. Air Force veteran, right? Songwriter and musician. So I got a few songs here. Moaning and Screaming, Part 1 and Part 2. Fair Play, Too Many Pots, Hurry Back, and my personal two favorites, Gossip, and How to Pick a Winner. So
really?
So go to YouTube, Diamond Joe, put in How to Pick a Winner. Diamond Joe, How to Pick a Winner.
Man, he has some titles, bro.
Yeah.
Moaning and Screaming?
Yeah, Part 1 and Part 2 before R. Kelly.
Right.
Yeah.
I can tell you how to pick a winner right now.
How you pick it?
You dig.
Bet on black.
There we go, baby. So
you dig.
Little cap it off,
Right.
Anyway, gentlemen, that is awesome. So I noticed he's white.
Oh, you saw that, huh?
I saw.
Oh, the wrong Diamond Joe.
Is that the wrong Diamond Joe? Or is that your uncle? Is your uncle white?
Huh?
Was he white, Diamond Joe?
No.
No.
He was that black.
That's another diamond.
That's how black. That's how black he was. That's he shine. You know what I'm saying?
Oh. He has a. If you look it up, I think there's one picture on the internet that they show, like when you look up his obituary. Yeah, they'll show it. With the glasses on.
We're gonna have to have a whole other show. That's the thing.
That's a whole nother show. But
Yeah,
I wanted to throw that in there, because that was kind of one of the talking points we wanted to cover. But
okay, we got that as a teaser then. That's how we tease for the next show.
Yeah, for the next show.
Well, definitely.
All right, guys, we're 2 hours and 34 minutes, man. Blessings over your lives, your families. I appreciate your time. I'm sure we'll be meeting up again.
Appreciate you.
Micah, thank you. You told maybe 40%. It was decent. But we're gonna do better next time, and I do appreciate you guys. So, any closing comments, Carmel?
Hey, man. Yeah, we got to get Quincy some T-shirts, bro. His one-liners be just bananas, yo.
Oh yeah.
This show we need to have a show where we're all wearing Quincy quotes.
That's funny. Hey, trust me, that's funny that you say that because
we just linked up with somebody that's
the printer in your city. You know what I'm saying? And he's ready.
See, I already be knowing.
Don't knock always networking, man. Always.
So,
but yeah,
man, it's been fun having you guys on. First of many.
Yes, sir.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. Blessings, and we'll be talking soon.
All blessings. And
y'all be good.
All right.
All right, Kelby, stay black.
Stay